inhuman, so peculiar, we're too scared to make a change. Shakara, Shakara, everybody's out to get you and you're acting like it's strange. Cause being human so peculiar, we're too scared to make a change. Shakara, ha, Shakara, ha, Shakara, ha, Shakara, ha, Shakara.
And we are live once again from the fever dreams of Candace Owens. This is Library of Mass Destruction. I am your host, Capitalisimo, and joining me, as always, is Christopher Sandbatch. How are you doing today, sir?
What has Candace Owens done?
Whatever.
I mean, like, why did you pull Candace Owens out of the morass?
Oh, there was a whole thing about a very weird debate she did this week.
But okay, so that was the impetus, because I saw a meme of her yesterday, pregnant on horseback, dressed as an English crusader.
I mean,
it was maybe the strangest thing I've ever seen.
The one thing she didn't do that she wishes she did was Charlie Kirk. So,
damn.
Yeah. So that's where we're at nowadays. We have Black Grifter Lady, who is the #1 right-wing female voice, believe it or not.
I mean, she's the best of the lot. I hate to say it.
Terrifying. I don't know if that's true.
I mean, you put a lot of qualifiers on it that really started to
winnow it down.
So much we can do. I mean,
the thing is, ladies, the only other one
to all 5 of the women who are listening, and let's be honest, because I'm here, it may be 9. Yeah.
The only like other females on the broader right that I can think of are Erica Kirk and Nancy Mace. And Nancy Mace is definitely in a distant third, too.
No, Nancy Mace for me is a solid 9.
I mean, is she? But so Nancy Mace is a wood for you.
I mean, the new look, absolutely.
The tank top, like,
yeah, she's absolutely
the way your best friend's mom looks at you at the pool party.
Dude, she has finally the greatest philosopher of the last 1,000 years, Friedrich Nietzsche, held that everyone is always in the state of becoming who they are, and Nancy Mace has
and you becoming two images of Nancy Mace.
She has entered her Myrtle Beach wine mom era. And do you remember, just not 2 weeks ago, we were talking about Doc Antle?
Yep. Nancy Mace is definitely, you know what? I'm surprised that she doesn't have a twink his room already.
It's the same part of the country, and when people go weird, when people lose it, they always there's a path towards a particular kind of low country insanity. And Nancy Mace is on it, and I'm here for it. This is exactly what we need. In terms of, never mind what I said about Candace. Nancy Mace is clearly the head of the field for me right now, because who is going to step into the eccentric Southern shoes vacated by one Lindsey Graham? Like there is a power vacuum open in the
Only
top.
only Nancy Mace can fit his heels. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and there's a power vacuum at the top of South Carolina politics, which means the fucking craziest people in the world who just happen to have a rabidly pro-war agenda are going to be coming out of the woodwork to try and claim that chair. And I am absolutely. I want to find a.
And you want to be the kind of person who would sniff that chair.
No, you know how I have a past working in politics. You know, not everybody knows this. I think everybody knows this. It's the very same past that also led me to my Elohim City connections that brought me to this show in the first place.
Yeah, where is what's his face, the German, Andy the German?
Yeah, there's a non-disclosure agreement.
There's a non-disclosure agreement between Christopher Sandbatch and Andreas Strassmeyer.
Anyway, I miss working in politics, and I specifically miss South Carolina politics. I am tempted to like catch a freight train to South Carolina and start working for one of these candidates. I think I want to work for Nancy Mace. I want to be Nancy
You want to be her next. You want to be the first sex scandal to take down a female politician. That's what you want to be.
This is what.
And you know what?
Moment! Like, dude, we just figured this out live on Library of Mass Destruction.
That's your destiny. Everything that
Sandbatch's next career move is to be the sex toy and chief of staff of aging cougar Congresswoman Nancy Mace.
That's right. That's right. You know what?
Maybe you'll
thaw out
trash. This could get so white trash, and everybody would love every bit of it. Like we could get a reality show.
You're Nancy Mace's top guy. literally, the only one that she doesn't demand a peg. She really does just scream like needs to kind of get choked a little. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole, I don't know if you recall this, but last year when she was like, I'm going to show my sex abuse tape on the floor of Congress. And it was like, really? This is the year we're in. Like, this is the level of respect we have in our legislature, in our public institutions, in our core chambers of government. That's what we get. And it wasn't even any good, right? Which is the real kicker there. It was grainy, and you couldn't see anything. It was basically.
Let's see how this tweet goes. Proud to accept an offer to become Congresswoman Nancy Mace's new chief strategist.
Do it.
I already did.
I believe in you. Anyway, well, she did come in like 5th or something in her primary, so I'm pretty sure she's fucked.
Primary for what?
Primary for governor of South Carolina.
Yeah. How did that go? Let's look at how that went.
It went poorly. She came in 5th.
But I want to see who. Yeah, I want to see who beat her. I mean, I'm sure Alan Wilson.
Fewer people than she wanted.
Primary governor, South Carolina. Let's see how this went. Live results 3 days ago. Oh, is this why she spun out and got all these tattoos?
I don't think she just got them. She revealed them. But she's also got the tattoos of a woman who is like literally 30 years her junior. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, Randall Shirker sends a $5 super chat and says, running late. But that Candace versus Wilson debate just proves dissector to politics pipeline, given how Wilson was Ethan Ralph's gimp for debates. Yeah, I mean, the Ralph Amail's checking in. That was a fucking clown. I did watch some of it. It was a clown show. And I don't really see how Wilson thought that was going to go, because he wasn't going to like get her to admit anything, right? He wasn't going to get her to admit, oh, I made some stuff up and I'm kind of going on vibes here. I don't actually have evidence for my claims, right? She is Candace Owens, right? She is a vibes based personality, not a journalist. So and also, like, Candace allegedly got paid $300,000 to do this debate, where she was just fuck you, I'm speaking.
This is,
you know what?
So,
I'm just saying, you dangled the bag in front of her. She secured the bag. Unless you absolutely obliterate her career for all time, she goes in winning the debate because she got paid $300,000 to be there.
Dude.
So
that is so based.
You could fund an entire right-wing ecosystem on $300,000. Ask me how I know.
Dude.
And she got it to sit there for, I don't know, 45 minutes saying Andrew Wilson is a cuck. I do that for free, and that's why no one would pay me $300,000.
That's what we did wrong here on Library of Mass Destruction, man.
Yeah.
God,
anyway,
that's so based, actually. But I stand Candace Owens, and I stand Nancy Mace, and I stand all. And everyone else has everyone else is black pilling, and I'm like, this is exactly the kind of late Roman bullshit I am here for.
We are definitely,
this is and I'm going to tell you, chat, because everybody accuses me of nihilism, and everybody accuses me of cynicism.
You're a real bloomer tonight.
The other OGC guys, they always get down when I start talking, but I'm telling you, you got to learn to love the bomb. And the level of late Roman ass showing that is going on in the American government right now, can you name a more exciting time or place to be alive? I judge how good something is by how entertaining it is to me personally. Yeah.
Which is my most Luciferian quality.
But no, that's even then. You have not taken enough pills. You have taken some of you got to take all of the pills.
It's like you take the blue pill and everything goes back to how it was, or you take the red pill and see how deep the rabbit hole goes. Why did you take both?
When you take all of the pills, instead of asking how entertainment your country's political bullshit is, you ask yourself, how can you make your country's political bullshit more funny to you personally? And that's the right outlook that you take.
I think you're really on your Timeline Earth arc right now.
What does that mean?
Well, if you've never listened to Timeline Earth, I think you ought to. So should all of our listeners, although they have more listeners than us. So no problems there. But
what is Timeline Earth?
It is a long-running podcast from our friends Bird and Dexter LaPlace and Carr. Yeah. So, friends of the pod. Sandbatch doesn't know who they are, but I do. So, friends of the pod.
No idea.
In any case, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I on the topic of getting dommed by Nancy Mace, we are going to potentially finish this. We probably won't finish the book today. We only have a couple more episodes left of Mass Control by Jim Keith, but we are going to be going into a banger for the next book. So get excited. Be aggressive. Sandbatch, I don't know what you're doing, but it sounds like you're shuffling around some rich sheets of vellum. So
rich sheets of vellum.
Yes.
Cute. I love it. I'm here.
In any case, yeah. So, chapter.
Ordered pho. If you want to know the truth.
What?
Yeah, I ordered pho.
Oh, you ordered pho? I love Vietnamese food. Jesus Christ. Get
Sorry
it out of the
about that.
microphone. All right. Anyway, chapter 21, concealing mind control abuse. Something that Sandbatch is really excelling at right now because he's become so positive all of a sudden. One strategy for concealing actual mind control is to erect pseudo-scholarly fronts to disprove that such misdeeds exist. One such group is the False Memory Syndrome Foundation. Syndrome, you may remember, was the villain in The Incredibles. Unrelated. A group of psychiatrists whose mission is to prove that cult abuse and mind control are figments of the imagination. While it is no doubt true that some cases of mind control and ritual abuse are imagined and that false accusations do take place, there is a solid body of evidence, a rigid, turgid, thick body of evidence showing that such abuse does exist. For starters, documentation on the CIA's MKUltra program is not in question, but the Foundation is intent on proving that this is not the case. Of the False Memory Syndrome Foundation, mind control researcher Walter Boert has said, this is a Central Intelligence Agency action. It is an action aimed at the psychological and psychiatric mental health community to discredit you, to keep you in fear and in terror. The membership of the Foundation is telling. Many of the psychiatrists in the group's advisory board are linked to CIA mind control operations or to the military. These persons are often called upon in court cases to discredit testimony of cult sexual abuse and mind control. One of the original members of the group, Martin Orn, a researcher at one time funded through MKUltra and the gamut of military agencies, is employed at the University of Pennsylvania's Experimental Psychiatry Laboratory. Orn was friends with George Estabrooks, the early researcher in the creation of hypnotic Manchurian candidates, and bragged to researcher John Marks that he was routinely briefed on advances in CIA mind control research. I would like to say that I recently got a collection on that was a series of books on cults. The collection was called, which I read on my own time. Let's see, Cults and New Religious Movements, a report of the American Psychiatric Association, which does have a contribution from Orrin and also has a contribution from our friend Louis Jolyon West.
Oh, interesting.
Jolly
what
West.
Year is that?
It was. I'd have to look that up again, but it was the 80s. So, the argument that Jolly West makes in it is basically that cults are real, cults are a threat and should be treated as a public health crisis. And in order to effectively manage the threat of totalist cults, there should be a bureaucracy that essentially manages and inspects religions, which is obviously
to undermine our text, which is like, I'm like sitting here. I was like, I can't imagine Jolly West ever denying that any of this shit happened.
Well, Jolly West definitely didn't, but there are a couple things in there stating that these are good boys who didn't do nothing wrong, and many of the things that are considered cultic abuse were made up or implanted memories by abusive psychiatrists, which is funny because that is possible because because of the existence of DID. Let's see. Actually, so Randall Shirker sent another $5 super chat. He says, also, we know that Sandbatch would say Candace is a Sandbatch 12, simply to make Cap seethe and cry. I was not seething. I did not seethe. And he said, he said he stand her, but I don't know. I don't think what would you say Candace is on the Sandbatch scale? Obviously.
Block. I said black.
Black. It's the y axis. It's the z axis. So, Johnny Walt says, Candace, empowered black woman. This would be a good movie. I mean, you know what? Daily Wire is making some stuff right now. Just get her back on the reservation. Make the Candace movie. Make it like that movie. Who's that British pop singer who they made the movie, but instead of having him in it, they just replaced him with a chimpanzee. It was like a biopic.
I have no idea, but that's
I don't know. It came out like 2 years ago. Anyway, ideas, Daily Wire for the Candace one. Randall Shirker sends another $10. Buddy, we appreciate you. Martin Orn was involved in the APA, American Psychological Association, task force in the 80s, where one of Jolly's associates was trying to get a definition of brainwashing, which would have encompassed all of religious practice. I think that in fact the article that I referenced is probably related to this. And Jolly West did say, like, he did not intend it to fall under the rubric of like normal and established religions. However, he wanted there to be a bureaucratic organization for inspecting religions generally, which definitely would have there's just no way that goes well. And so, and it, he would have been just as readily inspecting the Roman Catholic Church as he, would have, I don't know, Heaven's Gate.
I'm the same way here, I think I would definitely probably spend more time on the Catholic Church than I would on the Heaven's Gate cult.
I mean, there's a lot more to look into. I mean, to be real.
Much higher profile target.
Yes. So Randall Shirker asks, do I have the name for this collection? The name of the collection is Cults and New Religious Movements, a report of the American Psychiatric Association. So it's, I picked and chose what I read mostly based on the names, but of the authors. But there are some new people in there who wrote some good stuff on like induction and
absolutely does not believe in the death of the author
and lay deprogramming. Yeah, of course I don't.
I'm gonna look at the titles of the articles, man, myself.
Johnny Walt says, would Mr. West attempt to get Candace installed as Pope? For the I don't know what Brua of Patriotic Faith. I don't know.
That's a great idea. Why don't we make Candace the Pope?
Yeah, actually, I think that the Pope can be. No, the Pope has to be a man. The Pope doesn't even have to be ordained, but just has to be a man.
Yeah, it's been a long time since there's been an unordained one.
That's right. In any case, let's see where we are at. Creation of the hypnotic Manchurian Candidate. Also, George Estabrooks. George Estabrooks was unusual in that he was the overlap for like parapsychology and psychology.
What is parapsychology?
Parapsychology is like ESP, ghosts, clairvoyance, clairaudience.
Okay, so the good stuff.
What?
So the good stuff.
The real spicy meatballs. Yeah. I have a couple journals coming from the American Psychical Research Organization. American Psychical Research Journal, I think, that Estabrooks had published in. So I'll let you know how those go. Yeah, moving on. Some of Warren's early researches, including studies of post-hypnotic amnesia, were financed by the Human Ecology Fund, a conduit for CIA monies at Cornell University. HEF financed numerous major mind control experiments worldwide, including those of the infamous Ewan Cameron at the Montreal Alien Memorial Institute. SAR. Oh, there we go. Johnny Walt said, meant to say bureau for would he get Candace installed as Pope for the Bureau of Patriotic Faith? I don't know. I mean, West does not pass an early life check, so I don't know what his that would probably be one of the most hostile things you could do to the Catholic Church. So that would be a big thing.
He's so agentic. It's hard to forget that it's hard to remember that he failed the early life check.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
He's a Goyish operator.
He really didn't even he doesn't look. He his physiognomy is so anti early life check that it's. I mean, he was a great big bear of a man. If you've never seen a picture of him, he's just a big fucking dude, and very robust guy. So you would not. He doesn't really fit the nebbish stereotype even a little bit, despite being an accomplished academic, and torturer. But let's see. Orrin was called in to examine Patty Hearst after the agency-created Symbionese Liberation Army was immolated by the LAPD. Also evaluating Hearst were Robert J. Lifton, a founder of CIA-contracted Human Ecology Fund, and infamous MK Ultra shrink Louis West. We've talked about this era many times on the show, so I won't belabor it here, but yeah. Another person testifying at the trial of Patty Hearst was retired Berkeley PhD Dr. Margaret Singer, also on the advisory board of the False Memory Syndrome Foundation. Singer had studied American prisoners of the Korean War at the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research in Maryland during the 1950s. False Memory Syndrome Foundation founder Ralph Underwager, director of the Institute of Psychological Therapies in Minnesota, and the publisher of a magazine titled Issues in Child Abuse Allegations, is another member of the group who may have an axe to grind. It is reported that Underwager, I'm just saying, Underwager is only one letter away from Underager. Just throwing that out there.
It's also only one letter away from underwater.
Well, it's 2 letters away because you'd have to change one.
Whatever.
I think you'll find, technically, it is reported that Underwager said in an interview in an Amsterdam journal that it was God's will that adults have sex with children. What an odd thing to say.
That's a really strange thing to say.
He was a Muslim. Underwager later filed an affidavit in France for members of the Children of God cult, whose tenets, at least at one time, promoted sex with children. Underwager testified. Weird use of the word promote, isn't it? So he's like, oh, you promoted it. Well, it comes highly recommended. I'm not going to say that it's an obligation or that it's part of the ritual, but it's just something you really ought to consider. Let's see here. Underwager testified that they were not guilty of child abuse. The story of Peter and Pamela Freud, Freyd, Freyd, F-R-E-Y-D, Freyd. I'm going to say Freyd, who are executive directors of the foundation, may also be significant. The Freyds have been accused of sex abuse by their daughter Jennifer, who is a professor of psychology at the University of Oregon. Pamela Freyd called in her own psychiatrist, Dr. Harold Leaf, an original board member of the False Memory Syndrome Foundation.
Dude, noticers are seriously worn out after this paragraph.
What? Noticers?
Noticers.
Yeah.
So it's heavy duty noticing. Like our capacity to notice is being stretched.
His determination was that Jennifer had not been abused. Wow, who could have thought? Leaf himself was a major in the Army Medical Corps. Oh man, Army majors, watch out for them. was on the University of Pennsylvania faculty during the time that the university was conducting federally funded experiments in behavior modification and assisted Dr. Orn in studies on hypnotic programming. Another strategy for discrediting victims of mind control abuse and therapists who are investigating the subject are criminal charges. In 1998, the federal government initiated criminal charges against Texas psychologist Dr. Judith Peterson, charging that she had intentionally implanted false memories into her clients in order to extend their period of therapy. Brilliant. Brilliant. That is job security. Dr. Peterson was also charged with mail fraud for mailing those clients bills through the mail. That doesn't seem fraudulent, but all right. At the time of this writing, the government had only interviewed disgruntled patients and their attorneys, neglecting to interview Dr. Peterson or clients whose experiences with her had been positive. Earlier, these same alleged victims of fraud complained to the Texas Department of Mental Health and Mental Retardation. Wow, I'm 100% certain that department is no longer named that. And the Texas Department of Health. After investigations by those bodies, Dr. Peterson was found to be innocent of the charges. Sandbatch, can you jamie up the Texas Department of Mental Health and Mental Retardation and let me know if that's still a thing? Texas? That's what that's what it is, Texas. If they still have a Department of Mental Retardation, I am impressed. Let's see.
Texas.
Tejas? FBI informant says this show could be kind of a downer, to be honest. Look, man, I'm not expecting you to cheer for the child sex abuse cover-up, psyops.
This is still the name of it. The Texas Department of Health and Mental Retardation was established in 1965 by the Texas State Legislature, replacing the Board for Texas State Hospitals and Special Schools.
Wow.
Interesting.
Wow. God bless them. All right. Moving on, chapter 22. Electronic mind control? A giant leap forward in the technical capability for mind control came with the discovery that electromagnetic energy could be used to influence, disable, or kill humans at a distance. What a great
discovery. No. It transferred its powers to the Department of State Health Services and the Department of Aging and Disability Services. They renamed it in 2004.
Fucking lame. Yeah. Boo, Texas. Texas is not that cool, by the way. Like, there's a lot of cool people in Texas. But
I was gonna ask you about your experience in Texas, but I was too afraid it was going to be negative, so I decided not to.
Oh no, I've only had good experiences with Texas people. I just like as a state, like it just kind of doesn't. It is not to my tastes, and maybe that's me, the Midwesterner, but
what's the complaint?
I mean, I don't know. I don't like driving like an hour to get to literally anything from any other place. It's amazing. It's amazing how far away everything is from everything else.
Texas is big.
I mean, yeah, I get it, but I mean, lots of things are big and you could like build them densely. I'm just saying, like, I just God bless the Texans, but yeah, no, I mean Dallas is basically LA, and like in almost all respects. So like I'm not sure what the what Dallas has over LA. Anyway, love the Texans.
Well, you better start some shit on this podcast.
What?
You better start some shit on this podcast, boy.
Why, you don't like Texans?
I mean, I go to the ground for Texas, man.
Oh, ground for Texas. Regulators. I don't know. Texas is a little bit of a like start over. It's like it's just rebuild it ground up. Yeah. Anyhow. The famous scientist Nikola Tesla was one of the first persons to delve into the effects of electromagnetics on the human organism, with E.L. Chaffee and R.U. Light following in 1934 with the monograph, A Method for the Remote Control of Electrical Stimulation of the Nervous System. In the same year, Soviet scientist Leonid L. Vasiliev wrote... Vasiliev. Leonid Il Vasiliev. It's probably Leonid Leonivka Vasiliev. Wrote Critical Evaluation of the Hypnogenic Method about the discoveries of Dr. I.F. Tomaszewski and his research into the remote influencing of the brain through radio waves. Vasiliev wrote, as a controller of the subject's condition when she was outside of the laboratory in another set of experiments, a radio setup was used. Not many experiments of this sort were carried out, but the results obtained indicate that the method of using radio signals substantially enhances the experimental possibilities. Later in the paper, Vasiliev wrote, Tomaszewski carried out the first experiment with this subject at a distance of 1 or 2 rooms and under conditions where the participant would not know or suspect that she would be experimented with. Informed consent. In other cases, the sender was not in the same house and someone else observed the subject's behavior. Subsequent experiments at considerable distances were successful. One such experiment was carried out in a part at a distance. Mental suggestion to go to sleep was complied with within 1 minute. Another researcher into the potential of electromagnetics in the 1930s was Professor E. Chazamali. Chazamali bombarded subjects with VHF radio waves and told an astounded world that his subjects would hallucinate when under the influence of his oscillatory telegraphica.
Yeah, but like at what concentration? Like how many radio waves you have to blast somebody?
I don't know. I haven't read the engineering. Andrija Puharich was another early researcher into the effects of electromagnetics who delved into the effects of radio waves on animals. I can't wait until we get to Delgado here. There's going to be so much Delgado in this chapter. Working at Northwestern University in the late 1940s. Puharich founded the laboratory called the Roundtable Foundation of Electrobiology in what he modestly termed a barn in the woods outside of Camden, Maine in 1948. You know, none of my homies are doing mad science in a barn in the woods outside Camden.
Right? I'm jealous of every single one of these guys.
We used to be a proper country. Vulpus Persona in the chat. Absolutely fucking... I'm not going to read it, but I am going to put it on screen.
Sissy Hypno Pirate Radio, it says.
God damn it. Anyway. Alrighty. It was hardly a barn, sized 100 by 50 feet, with a basement and upper story. It had been used by the Navy, reportedly for storage during World War II.
What were they storing there?
People. Subjects. Among Puharich's associates at the round table were Warren S. McCullough, one of the founders of cybernetics theory, who had worked at Bellevue Hospital in New York. McCullough was an early advocate of electronic brain implants and chaired conferences sponsored by the Josiah Macy Jr. Foundation, a channel for CIA mind control funding. Another associate of Puharich's was John Hayes Hammond, said to have been Nikola Tesla's only student. Hayes was also interested in the use of electromagnetics to influence the human mind.
I mean, who's not? Come on.
Who's not? Randall Shirker for $2. The CIA beamed the tattoo ideas to your Foyd. Nancy Mace.
Nancy. Nancy, I know you're listening. Like I said, just reach out with an offer.
Victim of mind control operations, Nancy Mace. Confirmed? Is it confirmed? Do we have that confirmed? You're
strengthening the case for me as her manager now.
I mean, you're definitely going to be the one getting managed. You're going to be the one getting milked, bud. Nancy Mace is hard up for it. You know it. Let's see. After the demise of Puharich's roundtable, he spent time with social engineer Aldous Huxley in Tecate, Mexico. Again,
what an absurd line. I just want to just pause and let everybody appreciate that line.
The line, after the demise of Puharich's roundtable, he spent time with social engineer Aldous Huxley in Tecate, Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is pretty rapid fire. Again,
imagine referring to Aldous Huxley as a social engineer and not as a crazy writer.
I mean, fair enough, but a lot of his theory was focused on social engineering. That was pretty much the focus of his writing.
But I am saying it's just barely inside the bounds.
I mean, also, people get pissed off at Nabokov for Lolita, saying that he was a pedo. Nabokov. But people don't ever remember that part in Brave New World where 5-year-olds are fucking. So Aldous Huxley, check that guy's hard drive. Check it out. Again, studying the effects of
hard drive's going to be fine. Well, he was blind.
Aldous Huxley was not fucking blind.
He was mostly blind.
He was not blind.
That's why he's always wearing those incredibly dark glasses.
I am pretty sure he was just trying to be cool and also
he had really serious macular degeneration.
I don't think he was blind, but also being blind doesn't mean you're not a pedo.
But it means you're less likely to be in possession of pornographic objects.
I mean, I guess that is true. Braille erotica. Anyway, real text, real incriminating.
It exists.
Real incriminating textures. Anyway, Tecate, Mexico, again studying the effects of electronics on the human organism. Puharich was also employed at the Army's Chemical and Biological Warfare Center at Fort Detrick, Maryland, researching the effects of LSD for the CIA in 1954, along with who? Sidney Gottlieb, of course. He delved into the effects of digitoid drugs at the Permanente Research Foundation, with funding from the Sandoz Chemical Works.
Those are the people that made LSD.
Among Puharich's accomplishments was the design of what is described as a radio tooth implant, the technical specs of which were sold to the CIA. At a conference on electromagnetism in September of 1987, Puharich describes his invention. We were able to develop a hearing device that fit under the cap of a tooth, and we could hear very clearly from a small little relay and receiver and transmitter, and unfortunately, it was promptly classified by an agency of our government. But we did solve the problem in terms of hardware.
What an absurd thing to say.
The radio tooth implant may still be in use. According to the Chemical and Engineering News for February 5th, 1996, in a story titled Hong Kong Protester Sues U.S. for Mind Control. The South China Morning Post reported in January 25th that an assistant professor at the University of Science and Technology of Hong Kong has filed a $100 million suit against the U.S. government for implanting mind control devices in his teeth. Huang Ximing charges that the devices were implanted during root canal work in 1991 while he was studying at the University of Iowa, according to Morning Post reporter Patricia Young. Another student at Iowa University who, like Huang, was born in China, had gone on a shooting spree, and the feds, Huang says, put the devices in his teeth to find out if he was involved.
Base.
Hold on. Let's see if I have it.
Notice the question.
There we All right, go on. What was the question?
Well, I'm just saying, he just mentions that he was investigated. He doesn't say he was ever exonerated.
That's true. That's true. He did sue about the tooth radios, though. I would think that China would send people over here to get tooth radios just so that they could take the teeth out when they got back and
sue the US
reverse
government.
engineer it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also, of course, yeah, there's no way that he gets to keep that money, right?
Yeah, see, like this is where so many China stories fall on their ass. They just assume China's not looking back. You know, it's like
Yeah.
oh, the big scary dumb mirror. You know, China's smart.
Yeah.
They wanted our
They wanted our mind control teeth. Absolutely. The Hong Kong professor says he suffered an Alzheimer's disease-like memory loss that hampered his teaching. It stopped, he says, only when he sought legal aid to mount his lawsuit. Besides the U.S., the suit names the University of Science and Technology on the grounds that it was involved in continuing the mind control work. It also seeks punitive damages of $1 million from the defendants for toe ethical standards. Huang claims that one of the devices in his teeth can read his thoughts and talk to his mind when he's asleep. A second device, he believes, transmits pictures of what he sees to a receiver for recording. The mind controller, he says, can drive him to bad behavior. The implants in my teeth are making me a faggot. Let's see, hold on. I'll allow it. He gives two examples, one of which cannot be mentioned in a family magazine. Oh, there we go. All right, that's actually what it was. Huang is not alone in his complaints about having mind control devices implanted in his teeth. David B. recounts his story. Actually, you know what? This reminds me. Remember when we watched Bug?
Yeah.
That movie was excellent. That movie
reminds me of when we watched Bug. It was
everything, literally everything.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. Everyone should watch Bug. Everyone should go watch the Drive Time Movie Night episode of Bug. Actually, are
the back episodes available?
Yeah, they're all on Rumble.
What?
Yeah,
I don't even know what the fuck Rumble is.
It's a video streaming website. It's like YouTube, but with one
streamer-rooney.
But with 5% of the users.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is Candace Owens on it?
Yes. All the chuds are, actually.
Okay, so it's the chud video.
I mean, there are many chud ones. In any sense, X-rays revealed a metal object on the left side of my skull, under the jaw, and the soft tissues of my neck. Nancy and I are still looking for the other half of my brain. In May 1996, I finally had it removed. I asked many doctors about the possibility of it falling there during an extraction. They said possible, but remote. Most of them thought it punctured my neck from the outside. I sent x-rays to Dr. Sims, and he arranged removal. The strange thing that came out of this was the discovery of the small object in my shoulder. Dr. Lear called after receiving my x-rays and asked if I had ever broken my shoulder, if I had ever been in an explosion. I replied, no. He said the reason was that the x-ray clearly showed a screw in my left shoulder. He said it looked like an operation for a broken shoulder. I'd never broken a bone to my knowledge, and called my mother to ask. She said I'd had no operations as a child. This part is a complete mystery. During the first 6 months of torture, extreme at that time, I went to, that's a weird phrase, extreme at that time, like now it would get in there. Pussy like, torture.
How did the screw get in there?
Well, how'd the fucking shit get in his tooth? Clearly, he was
getting a root canal.
Someone slipped him a Mickey, and they added the implants, man,
without him even noticing, having an item inserted in his shoulder.
I mean, I'm just saying. Who knows? This one actually doesn't seem that credible to me, especially it makes me act naughty is a little suspicious. You know, there's a lot of reasons a person might want to run that line. Anyway, during the first 6 months of torture, extreme at that time, I went to a dentist and reported pain under my new dental bridge, installed a few months before the assault. He removed it, and I was still in contact. So I wrote off my teeth and concentrated on my throat. Wrong. In my x-rays and CAT scan, one tooth is very bright, and one frame of the CAT scan, it shows rays of light emanating. People I asked...
I can barely understand you. What are you saying?
What? Can you
understand me? Better. Yeah. Vulgar Persona says sound like bro needs a Faraday cage, so it was you fucking up. It's all your
Weird.
fault.
No. The fucking guy needs a Faraday cage. The guy with the implants in him.
Oh, well, no, your audio was terrible for a minute.
Oh, interesting. Maybe it was just you. I don't know. Anyway.
Maybe it was just me.
In my x-rays and CAT scan, one tooth is very bright, and in one frame of the CAT, it shows rays of white emanating from it. People I asked said it was probably an interference effect with the metal. An insight into the state of early Soviet research. Chat is saying I was out. All right. Well, sorry about that. An insight into the state of early Soviet research into electromagnetics is provided by an account of a meeting held on May 22nd, 1963, in the office of Professor Zinoviev at the Ministry of Higher and Secondary Specialized Education in the Soviet Union. In a meeting of 16 scientists, a Professor Artemov mentioned what he called a mental work machine. Artemov said that in the near future, an electromagnetic broadcasting unit the size of a transistor radio would be used to stimulate creativity and mental energy. Artemov said that in the first models of the machine that had been constructed were desktop size, but now the units were portable and were in use. The Soviets also worked on... See, the Soviets also made shit up to, they produced red herrings to try to throw off U.S. scientists. So, while I do believe that there are direct technological methods of controlling the mind or interfering with the operation of human cognition, I don't necessarily believe all of these reports from China and the Soviet Union, right? It seems like we ought to be at least a little suspicious of some of these. In any case, the Soviets were also working on less benign applications of electromagnetics. About 1960, as microwave scientist Milton Zarrett recalls it, he was approached by the CIA. Zarrett had worked on an Air Force project evaluating potential eye damage to radar and microwave technicians, but the CIA was interested in more arcane matters. They asked about the effect of microwaves on human behavior and the possibility of using microwaves for brainwashing. Later in 1965, they finally disclosed to Zarrett why they were interested. The U.S. Embassy in Moscow was being bombarded with microwaves by the Soviets, with radiation that they dubbed the Moscow signal. Yeah, very true. There were situations where, the spy versus spy types of bullshit, they would get the hotel room next to another spy and put 2 X-ray machines pointed at the wall right next to the bed just to fuck with somebody. And that'll do some damage. That'll make you feel like shit. Almost like Havana syndrome, if you think about it. So, let's see. Zarrett was briefed on Project Pandora, a government program in progress that was aimed at finding out why the Soviets were irradiating the embassy and perhaps turning that research into the CIA's own purposes. In one Project Pandora experiment, chimpanzees were irradiated with microwave bursts. The head of the program determined that the... What?
Why? They never say why. Okay, what did that... Well, why? Well, there's a good reason for it.
Just to see if they would behave differently after you microwaved them. I mean, why did we inject LSD into an elephant, Sandbatch? Why did we do that? Look, when you have that much LSD, you got to figure out something to do with it.
Dr. West is a bit of a maverick, but...
Is a bit of a maverick. You're a loose cannon, West. Anyway. In one project, the experiment chimpanzees were irradiated with microwave bursts. The head of the program determined that the potential for exerting a degree of control on human behavior by low-level microwave radiation seems to exist, and he urged that the effects of microwaves be studied for possible weapons applications. I mean, you should just...
Wow, look at that. A government research program that runs out of funding and recommends more funding.
I will say, on that point, in the article where Jolly West recommended the creation of a massive bureaucracy to investigate and license religions, he did say that, cults and anti-cult activities should be treated as a massive public health issue and therefore funded like an epidemic. I'm not kidding. Yeah, funded like it was an epidemic. And so I've just always made sure to say we need additional funding. So, yeah. Zarek conducted his own test and determined that whatever other reasons the Russians may have had, they believed that the beam would modify the behavior of the personnel. I mean, or maybe just kill them. Zarek's recommendations were simple. The American government should demand that the Soviets stop irradiating its employees. Yeah, this is like Trump ends free houses for migrant rapists. Like, it's like, boy, yeah, no kidding.
Seems like a good move to me.
It seems like a good move to me. Yeah, we should probably write them a sternly worded letter to stop irradiating us. Persons stationed at the embassy should also be briefed on what was going on, which they had not been, and given the option of transferring to other areas of the world. Zarek was assured that his suggestions would be followed, but they were only in one particular. President Lyndon B. Johnson issued a demand to the Soviets that the irradiation end. They ignored him. So if you were in the Soviet, the American embassy in the Soviet Union, you were just getting fucking cooked. Wild. Embassy personnel were never told that they were being subjected to electromagnetic radiation, nor that tests showed many of them were afflicted with terrible medical problems. Ambassador Walter J. Stossel had problems with bleeding from the eyes and was diagnosed with a blood disease similar to leukemia. Blood cancer is a great thing to have. The two previous ambassadors had both died of cancer. The State Department tests also found what they described as a slightly higher white blood cell count in 1/3 of the employees tested, but in fact, their lymphocyte count was 40% higher than normal. Several children of embassy employees were found to have blood disorders. Boy, this is not great. They would only learn of the source of their illnesses in 1972 when newspaper columnist Jack Anderson would blow the whistle on the Moscow signal in his newspaper column. A possible byproduct of Project Pandora is that in 1961, Dr. Alan Frey reported that microwaves are sometimes audible to humans. Although the discovery was dismissed by many scientists as being a case of outside noise, Frey's experiments later described in detail by James C. Lynn in his Microwave Auditory Effects and Applications, which is a very hard to get book, by the way. Frey found that human subjects exposed to 1,310 megahertz and 2,982 megahertz microwaves at average power densities of 0.4 to 2 megawatts per centimeter squared, or milliwatts per centimeter squared, perceived auditory sensations described as buzzing or knocking sounds. The peak power densities were on the order of 200 to 300 milliwatts per centimeter squared, and the pulse repetition frequencies varied from 200 to 400 hertz. Frey referred to this auditory phenomena as the radio frequency sound. The sensation occurred instantaneously at an average incident power densities well below that necessary for known biological damage and appeared to originate from within or near the back of the head. There were important ramifications to Frey's discovery. In his paper, Human Auditory System Response to Modulated Electromagnetic Energy, Frey explained how voices can be beamed directly into an individual's head. Among other areas of research, Frey also delved into the induction of heart seizures by beamed electromagnetics. How would you like to be on the ethics committee for that one?
Not at all.
That would not at all. I mean, he was so close, and he was so close to making a Death Note. It is unreal. Other Pandora personnel included Operation Paperclip Nazis like Dr. Dietrich Beischer, who irradiated 7,000 Navy crewmen with dangerous levels of radiation at the Naval Aerospace Research Laboratory in Pensacola, Florida. Funny how his job didn't change. Beischer simply disappeared in 1977 with records of his employment and his existence expunged. So how do we know he was there? I'd like to know. Do we think Mossad got him? Do we think it was a Mossad thing, like the Mengele operation?
No, this seems kind
of. Spanish researchers maintain that brain implant specialist Dr. Jose Delgado. We love Jose Delgado.
We love him. We'll love to hear it.
We love old Jose, the old My Way Jose. In 1972, the Department of the Army released a report titled Controlled Offensive Behavior, USSR. That's a movie title, isn't it? That's got to be. Controlled Offensive Behavior, USSR. Documenting 500 Russian studies of the use of super high-frequency electromagnetic oscillations. SHF may be used as a technique for altering human behavior, the report stated. Lethal and non-lethal effects have been shown to exist. In certain non-lethal exposures, definite behavioral changes have occurred. I really just want one of these to be directional so that I can just start like whispering in the brains of panhandlers. I just need it like mounted on my car. That's what I need. I need that. It would de-stress me so much if I could just, beam voices into the heads of panhandlers.
Why don't you schedule a call with Palantir about it?
Oh my God. Let's do it. Let's monetize LMD. You know what? You could
there's another space going on right now that a follower by the name of MK Ultra is listening in on that says "Making Jews Act Normal" as the title.
Amazing. We could do it that way. We could, we could get, if you just had like you could just like mount it on the outside of your house, and have an agentic AI just like cause everyone who drives by to hear the N-word. Just see what happens.
Yeah.
Son of Haster sends a $5 super, says monetize LMD. Perish the thought. Thank you for the $5. Of course. We work for our shekels, folks. We work for our shekels. Let's see. I'm pleased to report that we make on average $50 a month. That is the average take. So, let's see. Not bad. Yeah, we need to get on one of those. We need to get on Locals. Actually, I guess that's the new like Dono channel. That's supposed to be good. But Locals, yeah, it like replaced Entropy since Entropy went tits up. But
Entropy went tits up.
It did. That's right. Anyway, where are we talking about? Yeah. In 1972, the Department of the Army released a report. No, I already read that. Lethal and non-lethal effects have been shown to exist. In certain non-lethal exposures, definite behavioral changes have occurred. In the same year, the U.S. Army Mobility Equipment Research and Development Center released a study titled Analysis of Microwaves for Barrier Warfare. Man, shields? That'd be sick. The report discussed the use of truck portable microwave broadcasting systems that would be used to irradiate and immobilize people, and suggested that with the current state of armament, there was no way of protecting against the use of such a system. You just have lead armor, right? Like that. Let's see. FBI informant. Actually, you'll be pleased to know that we are presently live on Kick. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. You can watch us over there.
What the fuck is Kick?
It's another website for streaming. We stream on YouTube, X, and Kick.
Is this one? Which one is this one for the chuds?
What? Yeah, it's another one. It's just another one.
You're
There's
so
just a
mad.
bunch of them.
You're just so mad right now.
What? What?
Keep
Just
going.
I honestly am like annoyed at the variety of things, and I'm also a little annoyed that what is the fucking thing? What is the fucking thing that we're on? StreamYards. I'm annoyed that StreamYards only lets us simulcast to 3 things, even though it costs fucking money. Like, just why not more? Fuck you. Like, it's just not even. It's not even an option. I really need to
You
just.
heard that? You heard that, StreamYards?
I really
Listen
just
to a
need
dissatisfied customer.
dissatisfied. I really just need to start using OBS. I do. I need to start using OBS, and then we can add a bunch of fun gamified reasons for people to throw us the little filthy lucre. You know.
Like
Anyway, like a little, like a little animated Jolly West pops up and does something whenever they throw us some money. I'm just saying. We have a little stream goal. Stream goal. This is how much we'd like to make, and what we'll give you if we get there. Something like that. All that fun stuff. I don't know. Maybe even some things that are of greater value to our listeners. Who knows? Let's see here. Where am I? Yeah. So at about the same time, electronics engineer Tom Jaske was conducting experimentation using a low-power oscillator broadcasting at 300 to 600 megahertz to irradiate subjects. In repeated trials, subjects were able to detect the electromagnetic sweeps, and at these individual frequencies, these same subjects announced having experienced pulsing sensations in the brain, ringing in the ears, and an odd desire to bite the experimenters. Amazing. Yes. How do I get the bite ray? I want the bite ray. This is actually like a rage beam, right? Like you just you make someone just go berserk and start biting shit. That'd be great. I need that. You know what? I need that for the Foid. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Like when they go a little berserk. When they go a little berserk on you.
When
they go into their battle rage. Just start biting.
looking at a picture of Nancy Mace.
Imagine hitting Nancy Mace with the bite ray. Right? Yeah, you are. I know what you're imagining. You're imagining exactly what I just said. And that's why mind control works. So, let's see here. Bite the experimenters. Wait, where did I where did that go? Oh, yeah. As research in mind control progressed, the potential of directly and precisely influencing the human brain with microwaves became apparent. Technologies whereby emotions, messages, and subliminal commands could be beamed directly to the brain of unwitting subjects were researched by both the American and Soviet governments. Among many other projects, the Department of Defense funded work of J.F. Shapitz, who in 1974 proposed the use of radio broadcasting in conjunction with hypnotic control. In this investigation, Shapitz wrote, "It will be shown that the spoken word of the hypnotist may be conveyed by modulate electromagnetic energy directly into the subconscious parts of the human brain, i.e., without employing any technical devices or receiving or transcoding the messages, and without the person exposed to such influence having a chance to control the information input consciously." This is literally, I mean, this is like actually, why don't we revisit tinfoil hats, right? Why don't we revisit tinfoil hats as being reasonable? Now, if you could get a thin layer of lead, or maybe like I don't know, would gold leaf work? Does that prevent things from getting through? I mean, it's very dense, but it's also very thin.
I think gold leaf does. I mean, if gold will block the thing you're trying to keep at.
I mean, gold is really conductive, so maybe it actually amplifies.
Yeah, it goes the other way.
I mean, lead is also
never.
Is lead not conductive? I think lead is conductive.
It can conduct some things, and other things it doesn't.
Really, what you'd need to do, I mean, you'd need to have a hat that was grounded. You'd need a Faraday hat, basically. You need to permanently ground your hat.
Let's see if we can find one of those.
A Faraday hat. We're selling them. Go to the LMD merch. LMD merch.
You think I didn't find it?
Son of Haster says,
You think I didn't find them?
They made tinfoil hats ridiculous because they worked. It's a psyop. Well, I mean, you could probably do RF frequency blocking with like an emergency blanket, just lining the inside of a hat, right?
Yep.
That would work. Yeah, there we go. There we go. All right. In this investigation, it will be shown. Never mind. The second experiment was to be the implanting of hypnotic suggestions for simple acts, like leaving the lab to buy some particular item, which were to be triggered by a suggested time, spoken word, or sight. Subjects were to be interviewed later. It may be expected that they rationalized their behavior and considered it to be undertaken out of their own free will. The results of Shapitz's experimentation have never been released to the public. Probably worked. Just saying. In 1978, Dr. Andrew Metrowski wrote that potentially almost anything could be inserted into the target brain-mind systems, and such insertions would be processed by the biosystems as internally generated data and effects. Words, phrases, images, sensations, and emotions could be directly inserted and experienced in the biological targets as internal states, codes, emotions, thoughts, and ideas. On April 20th, Hitler's birthday, 1976, an apparatus and method for the remotely monitoring and altering brainwaves was patented. Its inventor was Robert G. Malich of New York. According to the patent abstract, it is an apparatus for and method of sensing brainwaves at a position remote from a subject, whereby electromagnetic signals of different frequencies are simultaneously transmitted to the brain of the subject. Although somewhat technical in its jargon, the summary of the invention in the patent bears wading through for the interested researcher. The present invention relates to apparatus and method for monitoring brainwaves, wherein all components of the apparatus employed are remote from the test subject. More specifically, high-frequency transmitters are operated to radiate electromagnetic energy of different frequencies through antennas which are capable of scanning the entire brain of the test subject or any desired region thereof. These signals of different frequencies penetrate the skull of the subject and impinge upon the brain, where they mix to yield an interference wave modulated by radiation from the brain's natural electrical activity. The modulated interference wave is retransmitted by the brain and received by an antenna at a remote station where it is demodulated and processed to provide a profile of the subject's brainwaves. In addition to passively monitoring his brainwaves, the subject's neurological processes may be affected by transmitting to his brain through a transmitter compensating signals. The later signals can be derived from the received and processed brain waves. So it's like radar using a known modulation of brain waves followed by extracting the changes and then subtracting whatever was added. Right? Wah, 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 wah. Vulpus persona, Oregon with the wind, with the EM wind. Yeah. Yeah. Imagine what all of this microwave radiation does to your vril. Just saps it. Bulwer-Lytton, most affected. In the years 1980 to 1983, the Marine Corps sponsored research into electromagnetic weaponry with the project run by Eldon Bird, a specialist in medical bioengineering. The lion's share of the research was conducted at the Armed Forces Radiobiology Research Institute in Bethesda, Maryland, with research done on small animals and even Bird himself, who was a big animal. Bird's focus was an attempt to see if electromagnetic waves could be used to influence or entrain the brain activity of living organisms. Using electromagnetic broadcasting, Bird says, we could put animals into a stupor by hitting them with these frequencies. Well, I mean, that's not that impressive. We got chick brains in vitro to dump 80% of the natural opioids in their brains. Sick. The effects were non-lethal and reversible. You could disable a person temporarily. Bird suggested that it would have been like a stun gun. Bring it back. Make a gun that causes human brains to dump all of their DMT at once. Like, what'd you do? I shot him with the DMT gun. I shot him with the Joe Rogan. Bird's program was scheduled for 4 years, but was closed down after 2. Closed down. I'm making scare quotes with my fingers right now. Closed down.
Yeah.
Bird believes that it wasn't because the research was unsuccessful. The work was really outstanding. We would have had a weapon in 1 year. Iran would have had a nuke in 2 weeks. Bird believes that the work was not discontinued, but was instead simply taken out of his hands and turned into a black project. The statement is hardly outlandish, and numerous other researchers in electromagnetics tell a similar tale of having their work taken away from them at the precise point when they began to get successful results. As conservative publication as the International Review of the Red Cross in 1990 acknowledged the ascendancy of beam weapons in the field of warfare. Authors of the article, titled The Development of New Anti-Personnel Weapons, stated, the effects induced in human beings by electromagnetic waves have been known, albeit imperfectly, for a long time, and have been the subject of continuous research. Depending on the frequency used, the emission mode, the energy radiated, and the shape and duration of the pulses used, electromagnetic radiation directed against the human body may produce heat and cause serious burns or even changes in the molecular structure of the tissues they reach. Research work in this field has been carried out in almost all industrialized countries, and especially by the great powers, with a view to use these phenomena for anti-materiel or anti-personnel purposes. Tests have demonstrated that powerful microwave pulses could be used as a weapon in order to put the adversary hors de combat or even kill him. It is possible that today to generate a very powerful microwave pulse, e.g., for example, between 150 and 3,000 megahertz, with an energy level of several hundreds of megawatts. Using specially adapted antenna systems, these generators could in principle transmit over hundreds of meters sufficient energy to cook a meal. However, it is important to mention that the lethal or incapacitating effects, which can be expected from weapon systems using this technology, can be produced with much lower energy levels. Using the principle of magnetic field concentration, which permits the control of geometry in the target by means of antenna systems, especially designed for the purpose. The radiated energy can be concentrated on very small surfaces of the human body. For example, the base of the brain, where relatively low energy can produce lethal effects. I'm just saying we need to give this to an anthropic AI. We need to cut it loose. Can you? Why
an anthropic one? What does this do with anthropic?
Can you cook up an evil microwave Claude?
You don't even need to do the microwave part. You can just cook up an evil Claude without the microwave.
Well, I mean, but it needs to be able to control the microwave gun.
Oh well, yeah. I don't know how good it's going to be at choosing the direction of the shot.
I need it to here's what I need. I need a microwave gun.
I can guarantee you 16th century cannon tier accuracy.
All right, here's what I want. You can tell me how far away we are from it. Is it 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years? All right. I need a microwave cannon mounted on a drone that will shoot the tattoos right off a foid. Automatically. Yeah. Just release swarms of them to de-tattoo.
First of all, I'm on behalf of my client and my advisor.
You mean Nancy Mace?
Nancy Mace.
Your lover.
I think, yeah. I think this is discriminatory act. We're in talks with lawyers about investigating the potential for discrimination involved in this use case.
All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're going to hire Palantir as well, right? Okay. We're going to get Palantir. Yeah. We're going to figure out everything that a woman has ever written, right?
On board.
On the internet. All right. We're going to do that. We're going to use the drones. Okay. Yep. We're going to use the drones, and the women who deserve it, they get their tattoos blasted off, and the women who also deserve it get more tattoos blasted on. You follow me?
Yeah, I follow
me?
you.
This is naturally sorting women on the Sandbatch scale. I just want to point that out.
Yep.
Okay? You're with me now. So we need both Palantir and Anthropic and, Anduril. We need Anduril for the drones. With those three combined, we can fix women or make them worse, whichever. I'm just saying this is a multi-billion-dollar idea. You got to be on board here. This is your calling, Sandbatch, actually.
I'm just saying, I'm experiencing mixed thoughts about it.
Yeah.
However, no, I'm kidding. I'm on board. What do you need me to do, Cap?
Of course, you're completely on board. Yeah, that's it. So that's what we need. We need to get Dario Amade. We need to get Palmer Luckey, and I forget who the fuck runs Palantir. That horrifying Jew. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Alex Karp. All right. We need them. Alex Karp would be all aboard on this. He would love this. He loves this idea. I already know he loves this idea. In fact, he's probably beaming this idea into my brain so that I can tell it to all of you.
Yep.
It's possible. I can't prove that it's not. But yeah. So let's do that. We need the best collab. We're gonna fix women. We're gonna fix women with the drones that give them the appropriate number of tattoos, which is generally 0, but except for the shitty women who will get more potentially. We're gonna give them face tattoos. We're gonna do the Scarlet Letter. All right, it's gonna be great. All of the femgooners who have bought Morning Glory Milking Farm, they're all gonna get a Minotaur tattoo right on their neck, and you're gonna know who the freak bits are. It's gonna be great. Sandbatch 12s, just branded
12s.
Sandbatch 12s. That's right. Anyway, let's see. In 1991, the ITV News Bureau reported the first known use of electronic subliminals on the battlefield, and the true reason for the seemingly illogical and apparently suicidal attack by Iraqi troops on the deserted city of Al-Qaji, 12 miles to the south of the Kuwait border. According to ITV, the Iraqis had launched a successful attack meant to destroy an FM radio station that had been installed in Al-Qaji by the U.S. Defense Department's PSYOPs branch. Although the station outwardly appeared to be broadcasting Tokyo Rose-style propaganda, deserting Iraqi soldiers claimed that the real purpose of the station was to broadcast the new high-tech type of subliminal messages referred to as ultra-high-frequency silent sounds, or silent subliminals. According to ITV, although completely silent to the human ear, the negative voice messages placed on the tapes alongside the audible programming by PSYOP psychologists were clearly perceived by the subconscious minds of the Iraqi soldiers, and these silent messages completely demoralized them and instilled a perpetual feeling of fear and hopelessness in their minds. Interesting. In 1999, that's what we're aiming to do here at LMD, by the way. Just, full disclosure. In 1993, a method of inducing mental, emotional, and physical states of consciousness, including specific mental activity in human beings, was patented by its inventor, Robert A. Monroe. The now deceased Monroe was an early practitioner of what is termed remote viewing, or out-of-body travel, and is the founder, it's literally clairvoyance, and is the founder of the Monroe Institute in Charlottesville, Virginia. He is reported to have had close connections to the CIA. The abstract of Monroe's patent says that the specific states of consciousness can be induced through generation of stereo audio signals having specific wave shapes, and that in accordance with the invention, human brain waves in the form of EEGs are superimposed upon specific stereo audio signals known as carrier frequencies, which are within the range of human hearing. Monroe followed up his initial invention with a method and apparatus for inducing desired states of consciousness, apparently a new and improved form of his first offering. Should have done it as an amended patent application, because he could have saved a bunch of money if he had done it that way instead of following it up with a completely new patent. Just saying. The U.S. Air Force Review of Biotechnology in 1982 warned that radiofrequency radiation fields may pose powerful and revolutionary anti-personnel military threats. RFR experiments and the increasing understanding of the brain as an electrically mediated organ suggests the serious probability that impressed electromagnetic fields can be disruptive to purposeful behavior and may be capable of directing and or interrogating such behavior. Further, the passage of approximately 100 milliamperes through the myocardium of the brain can lead to cardiac standstill and death, again pointing to speed of light weapons effect. A rapidly scanning RFR system could provide an effective stun or kill capacity over a large area. Let's do it. Let's do it now. Let's do it based on tattoos for women. The article continued. There is little doubt that crowd control devices using radiofrequency radiation do exist. The development of such devices would complement sonic and infrared weapons, which are well known and were advertised in the British Defense Equipment Catalog until 1983. These include the Valkyrie, an infrared device causing night blindness, and the Squawk Box, or sound curdler, developed by the U.S. for use in Vietnam. The Squawk Box was designed to induce feelings of giddiness and nausea in the victim, and is highly directional, so that as individuals are hit by the invisible effect, distress and confusion is spread among the crowd. In 1984, the Ministry of Defense ordered that all advertisements and references to frequency weapons be cut from the defense catalogs. By 1993, the National Institute of Justice and Office of the Justice Department was recommending in its NIJ initiative on less than lethal weapons that state and local police departments in America utilize psychotronic, electromagnetic, and other mind control weapons against American citizens involved in domestic disturbances. We used to be a proper country. A description so broad as to include family arguments. Amazing. It's just I want to roll through the hood just with one of these fucking things on full blast. I mean, I'll tell you. Maybe that's why they suck. Maybe it's why it sucks. Maybe they've been doing that. Just saying. It's not their fault. It's not their fault, Your Honor. We've been cooking their brains with microwaves. I bet that's been used. I bet that's been used in court. I bet it was successful too. Let's see. A description. The report said short-term research will be completed to adapt military technologies for use by domestic law enforcement, including laser, microwave, and electromagnetic weapons. The Washington Post reported the Pentagon and the Justice Department have agreed to share state-of-the-art military technology with civilian law enforcement agencies, including exotic, non-lethal weapons. This new approach to law enforcement was showcased in a 3-day secret conference of non-lethal weaponry at the Applied Physics Laboratory at Johns Hopkins University in Maryland. The conference was headed by Colonel John B. Alexander, Program Manager for Non-Lethal Psychotronic Defense at Los Alamos National Laboratory. Attending the meeting was Attorney General Janet Reno, the handsomest woman ever to hold that particular position, military weapons specialists, and representatives from state and local police departments. Janet Reno was a fucking maniac. Responsible for Ruby Ridge and Waco and, let's be honest, probably OKC. Not saying for sure, but, signs point to maybe. Janet Reno was John Doe number 2. I'm saying it here. That's what I think, and I can think whatever I want. And thinking it doesn't require that I provide any evidence. So put that in your pipe, smoke it, put it in your back pocket.
I like this transition the transition to Candace already.
Yeah, you like it? I mean, I want $300,000 to go to a debate and tell someone to go fuck themselves about 15 times. I'm not a big debate guy, but I will just be an asshole for 45 minutes for $300,000. I'm not above it. Let's see here. Janet Reno, military weapons specialists, and representatives from state and local police departments, A wide variety of subjects were covered at the conference, including radio frequency weapons, high-powered microwave technology, acoustic technology, voice synthesis, and the application of extreme frequency electromagnetic fields to non-lethal weapons. The U.S. Air Force has installed high-power microwave generators on air-launched cruise missiles. The stated purpose for the beam generators is to wage computer warfare, frying delicate computer components, but these generators would also be theoretically able to fry the delicate mental components of human beings. Delicate mental components. I like this. Almost Wen-dogged it. No one has quite gotten the Wen-dog thing down, but Jim Keith has a couple of them in here. I like that one.
I don't know. He's like it's like if Wendy and None Dare Call It Conspiracy had a child.
I mean, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. But sometimes mom's spirit does show. Has electromagnetic weaponry ever moved beyond the experimental stage and been used on citizens? Has it ever been utilized in experiments upon an unsuspecting population, the way that drugs and other forms of behavior modifications were used in MKUltra? Literally thousands of persons worldwide believe that they have. There are dozens of us. They claim that electronic assault weapons have been used on them, either for experimentation or possibly for harassment. The sheer number of these accounts, the parallels to what has been verified in terms of government testing, and the credibility of many of the persons making these claims strongly suggest covert use of these weapons on civilians. One man who believes that he has been irradiated with electronic beam weapons is Martin C. Mack. Marty Mack. In an open letter, Mr. Mack describes his experience. This is Return of the Mack. It is. I'm a former truck driver, now retired. This guy's name is Mack, and he was a truck driver. Who's writing this shit? I'm a former truck driver, now retired. My troubles with what I'm about to recount began in the fall of 1987 when I rented a room in Seattle, Washington. The renter next to me had visitors who tried to avoid being seen by me. Comments were made about me describing my actions as if coming from his room. Somehow, they were able to make me hear and also pick up on the process of my hearing, to hear what I heard. As if my head, strange as this sounds, was a sort of antenna. I picked things up, not subliminally, but audibly. They knew when I was coming and going and commented on such. While I was at the hotel, talk was heard about what I was doing. They could account for much of what I did in my room and in that building. Must have some way of watching me, I thought. Statements to throw me off as to what they were doing were heard, such as, "This stinger will reach 35 feet. There's a two-way mirror in the lobby. Let us test him," was heard. This was before I moved out, and afterward, he has a microphone in his throat. I do not have a material one there, of course. It was implied they could pick up on what I voiced. All this seemed like an impossibility. Due to what has transpired over the years, I know these things as fact, regardless of what others might think. One night, my spine was made very warm. That region is thermal sensitive and part of the central nervous system. The reflex arc which passes through the spine was triggered and gave my body a jerk. They could heat sting my back shoulder blades. The bone coverings of those are pain sensitive. They decided to drive me out of there and did before the month was up. There is a way that a person can be made selectively receptive to a modulated radio frequency carrier, and that was resolved while I was there. Before leaving, I inquired as to how long the two previous tenants stayed in that room. A month or two, the manager said. I was not hurt so very badly after they drove me out. Concerning the behavior and mind control, there is not much of a point in stimulating a person unless you can get a visual or audible response from the subject. They do get an audible one from me, a curse for one thing. How I think it's done, an unmodulated radio frequency carrier is sent out from one location, preferably lower in frequency, passes into the spine and head regions of the subject. But this is true spinal catastrophism here. The carrier is modulated by the electromagnetic nature of the hearing process, speech and inner speech of the victim. The fields of the process piggyback onto the carrier. It thought that the unwanted fields are filtered out on arrival to the point of reception. If what is received by the offenders displeases them, then a hurtful stimuli is set out on a carrier to cause pain to the subject, hence the behavior and mind control. There's much more to it than that. All sorts of responses can be brought about in the body and head by modulation of a radio frequency carrier with various frequencies of sound and energy, hearing and cranial pain, ear pain, others. Yes, heart pain, torture, and death. They're able to resolve motion or the absence thereof. Very loud snap can be caused at the rear of the head. Sound modulation can be spiked, cause hurtful yowls of pain. Eye stinging and eye pains have been caused.
Hurtful yowls of pain?
The heat pain sting torture is believed to be caused by vibrating the molecules and nerve endings of the thermal receptors. While in the process of thinking about what they were doing or reading, some people use inner speech or subvocalization. The trachea, i.e. the windpipe, is piezoelectric. It should act as a transducer. So this guy his name Mac and was a truck driver, and he talks like this.
Yeah.
Clearly one of our guys. Just saying. just saying.
I mean, I can't imagine. If they're not our guys, who are they? You know,
I'm just saying that, like, you know, I know some tradesmen who do kind of talk like this, but like this is a lot of information for someone who was a test subject, like allegedly, yeah. Subvocalization has been recorded directly off the throat by researchers. The indications have long been good, but they can take off the electromagnetic field associated with inner speech. They have commented on that of which I inwardly voiced many times. The shoulder muscles can be made stiff and sore. Those of the neck also. The heart muscle can be made sore. I am monitored around the clock. Sleep deprivation is caused each night. The offenders need a scapegoat to field test their equipment on, and with me, they got lots of practice. Man, if I thought I was getting observed like that, I would just be fucking cranking my hog 24/7.
Damn.
You know what? I'd just be like, you know what? That it's happening. Fuck you guys. You want to listen to me, or you're gonna listen to some shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's gonna be narrated.
It's gonna be narrated. That's right. It's going to be about liking getting watched by spooks. That's oh yeah, I can tell they're watching. I can tell they're listening to my subvocalizations. Oh, it makes me so fucking hard. Yeah, all right, don't clip that. Regina Cullen, a resident of the UK, also reports that she has been the victim of electronic assault. She feels that she was targeted for such harassment because of a complaint that she made against the local police in 1984. After numerous examples of more overt forms of harassment, including having her bicycle tires slashed, her car broken into, and being physically assaulted twice, she said, this is before the migrants. She says, a new element, I'm not going to do English lady voice. A new element of harassment has appeared. My home was rendered uninhabitable by frequency assault. What I now know to be microwaves and or infrasound were used to turn the room into a torture chamber. Do you want to try doing an English lady voice?
Nope.
All right. Cullen reports that she was harassed with irregularly pulsed humming sound. Impossible to tell which direction it came from. Seeming louder when one was lying down. It reverberated most in the area just behind the ear, the mastoid bone area, which is filled with air pockets, and caused my eyes to ache and my forehead to feel fuzzy and interfered with. How about that one? Is convincing? Is what an average English woman sounds like, you think?
That was awful.
That's a Sandbatch. That's a Sandbatch 13.
That was the worst thing I've ever heard.
The woman was forced to change residences repeatedly during the ensuing years. She said, I'm not going to do it again. Sometime after being forced out of my home, I would return in the middle of the night to find complete peace and quiet. 10 or 20 minutes later, the frequency assault would begin again. At one location, she says, I believe the source of the assault was the flat above, unless microtechnology is hidden in one's own flat, or this took place on the 11th floor. There were no houses of comparable height nearby, and the flat above was inhabited by the building's caretaker. On the day this happened, there had been a man pretending to be asleep in a red car parked half onto the sidewalk in front of the building's entrance. I was instantly afraid of him, but warned myself not to be paranoid. 2 weeks later, as I was running suddenly for a bus and looking over my shoulder, I caught him ducking behind a van to avoid being seen following me. Cullen says that earlier, back in the bedsit, a single occupancy room, intuition had given me another clue to look out of my spy hole just as the hooligan was being handed a strange box with orange hemispherical plastic knobs on each corner by a transmuted detective type who did not speak and took care not to creak the hallway doors. Not long after that, I saw him carrying in full view a small Christmas tree-shaped aerial, and he seemed upset that I had seen it. On one, as Cullen sat in her garden, that's what the English call their yard, something shot through my head with a strange fizz sound as it happened, seeming to come from behind the fence. I was terrified and could no longer sleep there anymore. A year or so later, sitting in front of the window with the curtains open, the same thing happened again, and the TV instantly turned to snow. The alignment that time of the invisible beam was such that it came from above and on the other side of the garden, from the very area where in 86 had appeared a momentary pencil-like beam of white light which was aimed at my bathroom window. This woman sounds schizophrenic.
I mean, dude, almost all of our witnesses sound schizophrenic. Almost all of them.
I think Mac the truck did not sound schizophrenic.
Are you choosing this moment to get judgy?
I just think Mac sounded like a plant, not a schizo. This woman sounds like a schizo.
Which do you trust more, the plant or the schizo?
The plant. Well, because the plant's a man.
Okay.
Yeah.
You actually didn't see that coming, but yeah. Yep. You're actually right.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
That's right.
Fuck.
Let's see. Cullen describes 2 types of electronic assault. Symptoms of type 1 include a bizarre feeling that the right and left halves of the brain are separating, with a gap in between, as if parts of the head and face are rearranged spatially, as in a cubist painting. This actually sounds like epilepsy. There is an impression. Actually, you know what? Also, the seeing beams of light also sounds like epilepsy.
Yeah, that's true.
This woman might have a compound of things going on with her. But this is very Philip K. Dickian. You know what I'm saying? Philip K. Dickensian. Let's see. There is an impression of slight puffiness in the face, a flattening of the nose, and definement of features. Type 2 symptoms include the feeling that I could hardly breathe and feel like I was in an oven. Each breath is like trying to inhale searing desert air, along with the usual headache and severe lassitude. Sore, tired eyes, fatigue, hot burning skin, old scars throbbing, an overwhelming sense of oppression, evil, and helplessness. This sounds like a seizure. Yeah.
It does.
Further substantiating these claims of electronic assault are the reports of believed victims of mind control harassment who have observed suspect equipment in areas adjacent to where they live. A number of reports of this kind have been compiled by the Association of National Security Alumni in their electronic surveillance project, part of the U.S. Department of Gang Stalking, intended to document and expose mind control abuses in the United States. Association of National Security Alumni. I bet that's like, it kind of sounds like it could be a bullshit organization that was named that way to be taken more seriously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? One individual documented by the Electronic Surveillance Project talked to her next door neighbor who claimed that he was a military intelligence officer. A person interviewed who interviewed someone else, interesting, who claimed that he was a military intelligence officer employed by a space technology firm. Okay. And that he was on a year-long temporary duty in the individual's apartment building. It was later determined that the individual was not employed in the military. When the pretended military intelligence officer moved out of the apartment building, the contact went into his apartment and found a microwave oven-sized device. A microwave oven? And an excavation had been made in the wall facing her apartment. Yikes. Actual yikes.
Yeah.
Another believed victim of mind control harassment looked through the window of her neighbor's apartment to see a 1 by 5 foot gray box. A black framed lens projected from the box facing in the direction of her apartment. According to the witness, the box was being operated in some fashion by a man in a 3-piece suit who was startled when he realized that he was being observed. Literally me. Are you saying you saying you don't have a 1 foot by 5 foot gray box with a lens on it?
I don't.
It could have been any of us. Oh yeah, here we go. Proteus said, "Who among us? Who among us could say that we are not wearing a 3-piece suit, observing women with large, obscure devices?"
Yeah.
Let's see. Anything interesting? This is a lot of the same. Citing the U.S. patents here. Those might be a fun read. Actually, they sound like they might. They're probably just stuff. I don't know if you've ever read a patent, but it is maybe the driest possible thing. Like Nancy Mace.
Hey! My client.
That's my future employer.
Yeah. We've been chatting back and forth since the initial solicitation, and
you mean an hour and 45 minutes ago when
yep.
when this idea sprang fully formed into your mind due to no interference from me?
We're moving rapidly.
She does like moving fast, I hear. Mm-hmm. That's what I hear. Make sure you CYA, buddy. Otherwise, you might catch a charge, right? When she loses interest, but still wants attention.
Interest. Yeah.
Yep.
So dark.
I wouldn't put it past her. I wouldn't either. Get a prenup, Sandbatch. Get a prenup. Yep.
I'm just saying she needs a new strategist.
You're gonna get sprayed with some Nancy Mace. She does though. So I mean, she obviously fucking lost. She really should at this point, and I think she is. She kind of is, like just sort of leaning into the bad bitch thing.
Yeah.
Right. You know what? I think her fucking strategist. All right. I have no information that leads me to believe this other than vibes. Right. I'm just going to say that right now. Her strategist is Milo Yiannopoulos.
It's you got to be like kind of on the right track.
If I'm not right, I'm rhyming.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's something going on with this change, and I think that it's probably being managed. But yeah, it could be Milo. Anyway, chapter 23, Mind Prison. Mind Prison. From the earliest days of such research, a ready source of human fodder for experimentation has been found in prisons. You love to hear it, right?
Yep.
This has not exactly been kept secret. I wonder do you think he's going to cite Foucault?
Yeah.
In 1962, James V. Bennett, at the time the director of the U.S. Bureau of Prisons, encouraged psychiatrists and social scientists to use the tremendous opportunity that 24,000 incarcerated and helpless prison inmates offered for experimentation. He said, "We here in Washington are anxious to have you undertake some of these things, perhaps on your own. Undertake a little experiment with what you can do with the Muslims, what you can do with sociopathic individuals." Very based, very unbelievably based. In fact, we're gonna do. Do I have an air horn? I don't have an air horn. Fuck. Why don't I have an air horn? Man, I hate my soundboard. There we go. We'll give him a round of applause. If James V. Bennett had been heated at that point, we might not be in the situation we are now.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Think about it. See what you can do with the Muslims, the sociopath individuals. In 1971, the Director of Corrections for California proposed the broad implementation of neurosurgery for violent inmates of prisons. That does not mean that this sort of surgery had not been done earlier. As an example, in 1968, 3 inmates at Vacaville, Cowtown mentioned, medical facility had a portion of their brains, amygdalas, mutilated, reportedly in an attempt to quell their violent urges. Not mentioned is whether or not it worked. Did it work? Who knows? The mutilated amygdala. Maybe that was the problem the whole time. Maybe you need to just, maybe every single time a future astronaut of a certain ethnicity is born, you just circumcise their amygdala and all the problems will go away.
Yep.
It's possible. I don't know. It's not. In 1974, a prisoner at the Arizona State Prison wrote in the New York Times about a program of electroshock at the prison. There were so many prisons. The word prison was used 3 times in that sentence. That was aimed at discouraging the activities of jailhouse lawyers and political radicals. The term the prisoners used for the program, he said, was Edison's medicine. Yeah, that's pretty clever. It's pretty clear. You know what? The electroshock wasn't ruining your sense of humor. So, and that's a good little rhyme there, right? So I'm just saying, it was probably doing you good. In October 1988, this was during like the same time period. I think the early to mid 70s was the same time that Jolly West was trying to get his center off the ground, and you can see why he thought that might work, right? Because you have the Director of Corrections for California proposing neurosurgery for violent inmates. In October 1988, David Fradis, a 38-year-old prisoner at the Utah State Prison, serving a 1 to 15-year sentence, it's a big range, for second-degree burglary, penned an open letter describing his experiences, protesting that he was being subjected to mind control torture. He indicated that 11 months prior, he had an altercation with another prisoner that he believed was the reason that a program of systematic mind control torture had been instituted against him. Fradis' account is detailed and believable. I'll be the judge of that. According to his letter, day after day, they tampered with my food, smashing and removing items from my tray, and threatened to poison me with carcinogens and diseases. My mail received similar treatment. I was constantly verbally badgered as well as physically assaulted, and was told my parents would be murdered should I fail to maintain silence. Okay, but was this by the inmates or the prison? Because it just says they. Fradis believes that these harassments were used to drive him over the edge into losing his temper, thus providing justification for placing him in solitary confinement and more intense harassment. Well, I guess that means probably the prison. Once isolated, Fradis relates, some extremely peculiar things began to occur. I became disoriented to the extent that my cell and surrounding area would take on a surrealistic appearance, as though I were under the influence of a hallucinogenic drug, and I was plagued by severe headaches and insomnia for weeks at a time. I began to receive or hear high-frequency tones in my ears, like the test pattern on a TV set. The volume or intensity of these frequencies is adjustable, and some are so high and piercing that they're literally had me climbing the walls. When I plug my ears with cotton or fingertips, the tones are still inside and become amplified. It's as if they had become electrified echo chambers within the sounds coming from the inside out. When Fratis complained, he says he was thrown into a strip cell without clothes, mattress, toilet paper, or drinking water. After 5 months of harassment, Fratis says that the torture escalated to the point that he admits that what would sound crazy to anyone not familiar with current capabilities of mind control technology. I began to hear voices in my ears, Fratis reports. Voices that change pitch and timbre in contrast from being a cartoonish high and squeaky descending through the octaves, including everything from sinister Darth Vader-ish to basically normal characteristics. The receptions of these voices into my inner ear is as vivid as though I were listening to a set of stereo headphones. We are able to mix, match, and blend.
Yep, your audio's gone again.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back. What are you doing?
All right. I'm not doing anything.
It happened twice, exactly the same
I
way.
mean, it must have. It must just be my internet connection going in and out.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Just saying, see a pattern here.
Including everything from sinister Darth Vader-ish to basically normal characteristics. The reception of these voices into my inner ear is as vivid as though I were listening to a set of stereo headphones. They are able to mix, match, and blend them in conjunction with the frequency tones, creating a raucous cacophony of audio discord that disheartens the soul. Frautis believed that eventually advanced technology was brought to bear upon him, to the extent that a computer mind scanning machine was used on him capable of monitoring, or picking apart, as he describes it, his thoughts as well as physical functions. Frautis said, with the apparent ease of manipulating a keyboard, they can, with the flick of the switch, strip me of all energy and motivation to where I'm forced to lie on my bunk and stare at the wall like a zombie. I've been left in this state for weeks at a time, literally chained to my bed without the actual use of physical restraints, having not the energy to walk back and forth in my cell even a few times. Frautis describes a list of devastating effects used to debilitate his body and his psyche, and admits that it would be hard for people to believe that prison officials would torment their captives in this manner. Corroborating his tale, he says, is a conversation with a paralegal advisor who told him that he had received similar complaints from other prisoners at the facility. And when Frautis launched a legal suit against the medical personnel at the facility, several inmates came forward to substantiate his claims, strikingly describing similar symptoms to those described by Frautis. 46-year-old Robert LaSalle, also an inmate at Utah State Prison, who had been housed in a cell adjacent to Frautis, described with complete coherence and in great detail his own torment at what he believed was an electronic mind control technology in an affidavit dated the 11th of July, 1991. LaSalle stated that for approximately 5 years now, I've been subjected to some type of device or technology that causes me to receive voice transmissions into my inner ears just as if I have a little radio speaker in my head. That the voices I am hearing respond to my thoughts and punish me with electrical current cooking sensations when I do not cooperate or respond the way they want. That I have experienced periods of torment where I felt as if my body were made of metal and a giant magnet was pulling me to the floor so that I could not hardly get up from bed and move around. I often hear different tones of high and low frequency signals in my ears, like the test pattern on a TV set. LaSalle described a variety of other effects, including itching and vibrating in the inner ear, electronic tones changing from high to low, an electronic assault that is so intense that he is completely incapacitated. He speaks at length about voices in his head, primarily female. I got voices in my head. They're ladies. How about you, Sandy? You got ladies in your brain?
And the terrible thing is I knew this is exactly where I knew this is exactly how you were going to go about this.
I mean, of course. Of course it was. That are sometimes interrupted by male authority figure voices. Even better. Even better. These voices tell him that he will be punished until he becomes cooperative, that he is being punished for his past crimes. One telling factor, LaSalle states, is that the voices sometimes use the names of prisoner medical staff or inmates, that he seldom comes in contact with, and thus would be unlikely to think about. Good point. In another affidavit, Utah State Prison inmate Frank Moxley, also imprisoned. Frank Moxley is a perfect name for an inmate. Perfect name. Also imprisoned in a cell adjacent to Fraudus, stated that he has also been subjected to the influence of some type of device or technology that causes me to receive voice transmissions into my head, just as if I had a little radio speaker in my inner ears. Moxley also reported that there are many inmates here in Utah maximum security having this mental communication system used on them, but that due to the methods employed in so doing, not many inmates are willing to speak of it. Robert Varner, also at Utah State Prison, stated in an affidavit dated the 10th of June, 1991, that he had also endured apparent electronic assault and was aware of at least 6 other inmates who had similarly complained of these activities. Varner said that the sounds I experience in my inner ears consist of frequency like ringing noises from which I can sometimes, but not always, distinguish voices. That when the voices are distinguishable, I sometimes hear things concerning my past history. That these voices sometimes respond to my thoughts. Varner also reports that high and low ringing sounds in my ears and pressure sensations in my ears. Another inmate of Utah State Prison, James F. Gardner, testified that his own mind control harassment in an affidavit dated the 10th of June, 1991. Gardner describes a variety of symptoms corresponding to electronic bombardment, including the effects of a device or technology that caused me to hear voices in my inner ears that gave me behavioral instructions. Gardner experienced torturous headaches and intense pressure chamber sensations in my inner ears, to the end that I was driven to explosively aggressive behavior. But the mental voice communication process I am describing definitely involved thought comprehension, because the voices were able to respond to what I was thinking. On one occasion, the voices advised me that certain inmates, with whom I had had an altercation, would be waiting to jump me with weapons on A block. The voices told me exactly who the inmates were and where they would be hiding, and all information was correct. There is no way I could have hallucinated such a situation. I mean, you could be clairvoyant.
Man, do you know that I live in William S. Burroughs' old house?
Really?
Yeah, I'll never. Let's not talk about.
You ever practiced the William Tell Act?
No, but the doors have a tendency to just open and shut here, and I just experienced that.
Yeah.
Yep, one of the doors just opened and shut.
You know, hanging above my desk and behind me are passages from William S. Burroughs' The Seven Deadly Sins.
Oh no, I'm not the only. I only like one of his books.
Which one?
Which one do you think?
Probably Naked Lunch.
No, it's Cities of the Red Knight.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. What I mean. Here's the one that's right in front of me. I'm going to read it. It's really short. Sin is a stuck record, round and round, over and over, always the same. And by being always the same, always deader, the smell of decay always heavier. Nothing ever escapes from the yellow lagoon of terminal torpor, from the searing erogenous fumes of hermetic lust, the green arids of envy, the mineral hunger of discarnate avarice, the pride that must always excel, the anger that must blight and kill when there is nothing left to blight or kill. Round and round, slower and slower, Christ bled, orgon balked at the post, time ran out. Thermodynamics has won at a crawl. Toys, master of the 7 chains, admonishes sweetly. You reckon ill who leave me out. When me you fly, I am the wings.
I knew I shouldn't have told you those.
Well, I think you have mentioned it before, actually, but I wasn't sure if you were being serious, but now I am.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
See, something has disturbed the cat.
You have.
I'm not even kidding.
I can hear your cat. What's amazing is that both you and Mike both have incredibly vocal, talkative cats that always like to come on stream for a little cat cameo.
I thought she was dead a couple of days ago.
Well, I'm glad she's not.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see. The experience of David Fratis and the other inmates at Utah State Prison is hardly solitary. Many other inmates have attempted legal action against the prison system, complaining that they have been subjected to electronic torture. Some of it corresponding strikingly to the testimony of the men at Utah State Prison. These legal actions have uniformly been struck down by the courts as being frivolous. And yet, given our knowledge of advances in electronic mind control by the CIA and other agencies, and the similarity of statements between these inmates, these complaints seem very credible. They strongly suggest that electronic mind control technology is currently being used at prisons throughout America. America is not the only country where mind control techniques and experimentation have been employed on prisoners. In August of 1971, an experiment began in England using torture and sensory deprivation on Irish political prisoners. Boo, nice. Boo. No. We our time shall come. That's, it's a shame that they ended up being commies, actually. But,
how did you expect it to go?
I know. We love the troubles, though. We love the troubles. The good old days. I like to call them.
You can see my face right now.
I'm allowed to say that because the Irish part of me is, but I have both Ulster and Ulster Catholic.
You want a land back acknowledgement?
What?
You want a land back acknowledgement or something?
That's right. Yeah, give me that. I basically I have North and real Irish blood, so I'm allowed to make fun of the troubles. Yeah, genetically allowed. That's my hall pass.
There should never have been a thing called the Troubles, because they should have all been killed. None left to tell the tale.
You mean 100% of the Irish or 100% of the Prots?
We're gonna have to take some friendly fire.
That's fine. Go for it. What?
I was just laughing.
Oh. All right. Anyway,
Still this picture of Nancy Mace pulled up, and it's sort of just terrifying.
Just drilling into your brain. It's microwaving you. You're getting microwaved.
I can hear her voice in my head.
Buzzing for over and over. The voice of Nancy Mace.
I am currently searching Nancy Mace bikini.
Oh my fucking God. The one that she posted today, it shows her armpit, so you're really gonna lose your mind.
Well, she's had some tattoos going for a while.
I don't know why, but whatever.
She's got a ridiculous, it looks like flames coming off her hoo-hoo.
Oh my God. She got the tramp stamp on the front. Absolutely wild choice. Many prisoners suffered permanent psychological debilitation. Some died during the course of the experimentation, while some attempted suicide in order to escape the torture. After the protestations of a number of civil rights groups, including Amnesty International, a number of prisoners who had endured the torture were released without charges. Woof. Further confirmation of the use of electronic torture devices comes from Electromagnetics News, detailing information originally published in the London Observer for January 13th, 1990. According to the article, an electronic torture chamber using a white noise generator designed to pulse around 11 hertz, apparently ultimately capable of destroying the human body, has been installed by a British company, Electronic Intelligence, inside the headquarters of the special branch of Dubai. Called the House of Fun, the torture chamber also houses a strobe light, also set to 11 hertz, and synchronized with the white noise generator. The combined effect of which is to reduce anyone inside the cell to a screaming, helpless supplicant within moments. According to the Observer, the equipment was referred to as prisoner disorientation equipment within electronic intelligence, run by 3 former London policemen, while the bulk of the £1 million contract involved the installation of bugging equipment and concealed video cameras in the rooms and cells of the special branch HQ. Proteus says, Nancy Mace in the room next to Sandbatch with a microwave-sized box. That's right.
Damn.
She's across the street with a 5x1 gray box with a lens on it, wearing a 3-piece suit. She's waiting for you to startle her, Sandbatch. She's waiting.
I don't think she's been startled in 20 years.
She's begging for a startling. The only thing she wants in life is a jump scare.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, chapter 24, beam warfare. By the mid-1970s, full-scale electromagnetic warfare was in progress between the U.S. and the Soviet Union, although full details of that war would not leak out until years later. On October 30th, 1976, the New York Times published a report revealing that a broadband shortwave radio signal was being broadcast from the Soviet Union that disrupted radio and other electronic communications worldwide. The radio signal, varying in frequency between about 3.26 and 17.54 megahertz, was initiated on July 4th, 1976, the date of the U.S. bicentennial. Wow. They didn't even bother with Weineslausmacht or whatever the fuck that holiday is.
Walpurgisnacht.
That's right. You got it. And
making a case for the Irish here.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's not an Irish word.
I'm just saying.
Is that a German word?
I'm just saying that. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Randall Shirker for $5 says, just remember, Cap, we still need a Bollywood musical to torment Mike with, and to prove that Thomas can't go the distance as part of our DDD project. Pete Q did assent to coming on to watch the second half of Fiddler on the Roof. I'm not sure I'll actually punish anyone with that. Not least of which is myself.
Thomas was like, I'm not doing that again.
Nah, he said he'd come on again. I'll just let him know what the movie is ahead of time. It'll be Kino. He'll like it. He's earned it. I mean, last week we watched, or the week before last, we watched Cannonball Run, and that was great. Obviously, yeah. Cannonball Run is an all-timer.
You were severely affected by that when you were finished with it.
I loved it. I love Cannonball Run. Cannonball Run is basically the height of Western society. Everything has been downhill since Cannonball Run.
Yep.
Yep. Let's see. The date of the U.S. bicentennial and continued to be broadcast in years to follow. The signal came from a high-power transmitter located near Kiev in the Ukraine. Love it. Love the Ukraine. Due to pulse modulation, the radio signal produced a unique woodpecker-like chatter on radio receivers, hence its informal name, the Russian woodpecker. According to electromagnetics expert Robert Beck, the signal is so strong it drowns out anything else on its wavelength. It first appeared on the United Nations International Telecommunications channels, including the emergency frequencies for aircraft on transoceanic flights. Now, the woodpecker leaves holes. It skips the crucial frequencies as it moves up and down the spectrum. The signal is maintained at enormous expense from a current total of 7 nations, the 7 most powerful radio transmitters in the world. Since the first broadcast of the Russian woodpecker, at least 30 similar transmission centers have been set up by the Russians, sending signals to the same dangerous frequency range. Shortly after the Russian woodpecker began broadcasting, complaints were heard from numerous locations in the United States and Canada, but mostly centered in Oregon, of people experiencing headaches, anxiety, lack of body coordination, and other symptoms. You know, it might explain some weird things about Oregon. Just saying. Oregon's a strange place. Cascadia in general is kind of a wild one. Yeah. Dr. Andrija Puharic, who had been researching electromagnetics at the fringes of spookdom since the early 1970s, who we previously mentioned, commented on the Soviet signal in 1983. When the Soviets went on the air in July 4th, 1976, with their 100 megawatt transmissions of extremely low frequency waves, the intelligence community of the U.S. was caught unaware of this new technology. The Soviets' ELF pulses covered the frequency range of the human brain. No one knew what the purpose of this new technology was. I had a hypothesis that this was a new mind control weapon that could entrain a human being's EEG. Bob Beck and I designed an experiment that conclusively proved that the Soviet transmissions could indeed entrain the human brain and thereby induce behavioral modification. I reported this finding to the intelligence community in the U.S., and my paper was promptly classified. A CIA commission of inquiry reported to President Carter that there was no substance to our findings. Today, 5 years later, all of our findings have been confirmed by various agencies of the U.S. government. However, they went one step beyond our findings and proved that a certain ELF frequency, which is classified, will cause cancer. I have repeated these experiments and found this to be true. A single ELF frequency can produce cancer. Yikes. Big if true. What is it? 5G. It's 5G. Elsewhere, Puharich said, the U.S. Air Force identified 5 different frequencies in this compound harmonic the Russians were sending through the Earth and the atmosphere. The intention was to effect a change of consciousness in mankind. The extremely low frequency waves will penetrate anything and everything. The specially shielded Faraday cage, the ocean. Nothing stops or weakens these signals. Referring to himself in the third person, he said, Dr. Puharich and Robert Beck designed receiving equipment which could measure these waves and their effect on the human brain. Their experiments proved that a signal of 6 hertz easily penetrated the copper walls of a Faraday cage. So could a rate of 6.6, the rates being used by the Russians. This causes depression. 7.83 depression. The 7.83 hertz could make a person feel good. This is the so-called Schumann resonance, the Earth's pulse rate. Feels good. 10.8 hertz could cause riotous behavior. As far as he could determine, the Soviets never set out a signal in the 8 hertz range that would be beneficial to people. When Dr. Puharich presented this information to certain U.S. military leaders, they would not believe him. He then made up a secret report and had it hand-delivered to President Carter, to the head of the French intelligence service, to Prime Minister Trudeau of Canada, not that one, his dad. Well, maybe his dad, right? Maybe his adoptive father, because his real father was Fidel Castro.
Yep. Got his ass. Who's he fucking now? Oh, Katy Perry. He's fucking Katy Perry. Sucks to be him, huh?
I mean, honestly, pretty cringe. She's not good. She's really bad, actually. Some of the worst pop music.
It's like it's perfect for him.
It is perfect for him because he's gay. Yep. And she only wrote gay anthems. Let's see. Johnny Walt for $2. Does this explain the gender bending? I mean, honestly, I wonder what the Troon wave is. Troon wave radio. When let's see, Carter, French Trudeau, and to certain dignitaries of other Western nations, heavy action was taken by our government to shut him up. His home in Ossining, New York, contained the results of much of his research work, was burned to the ground. He fled for his life to Mexico. From there, he continued to monitor the Russian ELF wave signals and the higher harmonics in the megahertz range, 5.34 megahertz. Although his Washington contacts, through his Washington contacts, a group meeting was arranged with the CIA. A showdown ensued, an agreement reached, And since then, no trouble with the CIA, except for the publication of his books. The government program is now called the ELF, for extremely low frequency, and the Navy set up a research program on it. 2 years late. Puharich's secret report was expanded into a book under contract to Dell Publishing Company, but publication has been blocked for the past 4 years. Meanwhile, the Russian attack goes on, unknown to the general public. Whole populations can be controlled by ELF waves. Intensive research on such behavior modification is now being conducted by the United States government to find out just what such waves do to people. This electromagnetic research is similar to the secret drug experiments conducted on the unsuspecting populace in the 1950s. Dr. Puharich did identify one ELF wave as a cancer-causing agent in mice. Let's just see. Meow. Meow yourself, Kitty.
Meow.
Truly.
She's on the other side of the room, too.
I mean, she's just like in the perfect spot to like get that meow going. Right? Like echoing directly into the mic. These waves cannot be jammed. The lower frequency Hertz waves are as long as 300,000 miles. The government has built huge transmitters in South Africa, Australia, and other places to beam ELF waves back at Russia. There's no shield that will stop the signals. At a conference on electromagnetism in September of 1987, Puharich said, well, theoretically, you could just beam the contrary wave out, but, you know, you'd have to change it every time they changed it, and that would take time, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
In 1981, the U.S. government went into full-scale ELF warfare and set up all their big transmitters down under in Australia and Africa, so on, and now they're in business, and everything's classified, and you can't say a goddamn thing about it. Tough situation. And you can't get any real information out of the government agency. And I know all of them, all that they do the work. I know the people who had the projects, etc. When they're in trouble, they usually come and ask me. And they classify what I tell them. Insanity. Vulpes persona. Ultra low meowsery. Meowsery. Although the United States government did not officially acknowledge that the country was under electromagnetic assault from a foreign power, they apparently did respond in kind, beyond what Puharich documented. Stefan Redknapp, awful name, a journalist living in England, reported that he had gotten access to secret documents about an American electromagnetics program called Operation Peak that involved firing electromagnetic signals off the ionosphere to ricochet down on Eastern Europe, with a particular focus being Eastern European nuclear installations. What is apparently the most recent and largest escalation of the beam war is the construction of the HARP project in the Alaskan wilderness. I remember the 90s when HARP was just like the fucking shit, when it was just like all over the place in all of the lit. Like there's a lot of really great Art Bell episodes on HARP. Anyway, HARP is the world's largest electromagnetic broadcasting station, composed of 180 high-frequency broadcast antenna, with power estimated at 72,000 times more than the next most powerful radio transmitter. The project is the creation of the U.S. Air Force Phillips Lab, the Naval Research Laboratory, and the Office of Naval Research. Although announced as a facility for ionospheric research, HARP seems to have a number of other potential uses, including weather control and electromagnetic sweeps that can be used for mind control of large populations. Of odd note is the observation of a civilian who was monitoring the output of the HARP transmissions at precisely the times that the recent mass murder in Littleton, Colorado took place. According to Kent Stedman, a peak in HARP transmission occurred between 10:40 Pacific domestic time and 1:20 Pacific domestic time. The shootings began at 11 and 11:30 Pacific domestic time. That is Littleton. I mean, that's got to be Columbine. So that doesn't make any sense because it's not like they planned it. They planned it for a long time. So it wasn't something that they just did because the HARP activity peaked then. Anyway, chapter 25, the Persinger plan. Dr. Michael Persinger, a psychologist and neuroscientist employed at Laurentian University in Ontario, Canada, lives at the cutting edge of research into effects of electromagnetics on the mind. Persinger, on the board of advisors of the False Memory Syndrome Foundation, has been funded by the Navy and reportedly the National Security Agency, and did research on the effects of electromagnetic radiation on the brain for a Pentagon weapons project, according to researcher Daniel Brandt. Persinger says, "My research has not been funded by U.S. interests. All of the money for our human research in the last 30 years has been from my personal income as a professor. The only funding, $10,000, we ever obtained from the U.S. was from the U.S. Navy." I mean, then that means it has been funded by U.S. interests, presumably. Let's see. Randall Shirker says, "Hey, remember CERN is offline for the next 4 years, so you can't blame them for shit." Yeah. Among Persinger's accomplishments is the ability to cause subjects to think that they have been abducted by aliens, or have had an encounter with aliens or God through the use of a modified motorcycle helmet equipped with solenoids to send electromagnetic pulses through the frontal lobes of their brains. Ultimately, Persinger says, human experience is determined by what is happening in the brain, and the experience of God can be generated by a process that has nothing to do with whether God exists or not. In 1993, British journalist Ian Cotton put on the Persinger helmet in the course of research on a book on evangelical Christianity. Persinger's team rang temple bells while Cotton's brain was being irradiated, and he said, "I was actually in a line of solemn Tibetan monks, grave-eyed brown cowls around their heads. I too was a Tibetan monk, and what I realized was that I always had been."
What a beautiful line. I too was a
Tibetan monk. Sandbatch, would you like to be a Tibetan monk?
No, I find I generally find Buddhism horrifying.
Really? Why is that?
It's just it's horrifying.
Well, what about it?
It just is. I mean, it's just horrifying. There's just full of demon gods.
You gotta work with me here. You gotta describe it.
I'm trying to read a book called Fundamentals of Buddhism, and I think it's causing the problems I'm having with doors opening and shutting.
Really? You think that Buddhism is the thing drawing it, or do you think that?
I think the energies that have been awakened by even touching on the subject of Buddhism are adversely affecting. Yeah, I believe I've ripped open a hole in space-time, and the Buddhist demons are pouring in.
Okay. Mm-hmm. You're further.
Why are you you're not a Buddhist guy? What the hell?
I'm not a Buddhist guy.
Yeah.
I'm just usually people don't focus on the sort of people don't focus on the sort of mythology around Buddhism most of the time. Most of the time when Westerners who have not learned a whole lot, who have a passing familiarity with Buddhism, they will have a very theosophically coded understanding of Buddhism, which is the dominant perspective on Buddhism in the West, which is that it's an empirical religion, or more like science, or it is in some sense possible to be an atheist Buddhist.
That would never occur to me.
Well, that is the common way. So I'm your perspective interests me. So, yeah, not quite as heavy with the demons and so on as Hinduism, but of course, it's a descendant, so there's plenty of them. Yeah. Yeah, I mean the best that most people have on Buddhism is having read like Hermann Hesse, which is will not equip you. So
no, I've dated a number of women who were raised in Buddhist cults.
Nice. You love to hear it.
Yeah, I get my knowledge from like a, parallel, but like not necessarily the place that you'd think. Like, here, actually, hold on, let me go get it.
He's gone. He's not coming back. Let's see here. God helmet. All right. Persinger's article on the possibility of directly accessing every human brain by electromagnetic induction of fundamental algorithms.
Right, got it right here.
All right.
Fundamentals of Buddhism by Peter D. Santina.
Interesting. I mean, is it like Mahayana, Theravada?
No, it's that Indo-Greek one.
It doesn't go over how Charles Leadbeater was directly responsible for the back transmission of pseudo-atheistic Theravadan Buddhism to Sri Lanka and Thailand.
This is only 1984.
Mm-hmm.
But it's published by the Institute for the Advanced Studies of World Religions, Chen Yang Monastery in New York.
Well, I mean, world religions as a concept is theosophy. So
yeah.
I mean, you'll love to see it. You'll love to see it, but
I love to see it.
Yeah. Anyway. Don't let demons into your house, Sandbatch. You're already in Loa territory, being in New Orleans. So
right.
Yeah.
I mean, you're always having to beat them off.
Just don't beat off the Loa. Watch out for the Loa.
Yeah,
that's right. Anyway, let's see here. Persinger's article on the possibility of directly accessing every human brain by electromagnetic induction of fundamental algorithms, published in Perceptual and Motor Skills in June 1995, delves into even more far-reaching mind control possibilities. Concealed within scientific jargon that may be purposefully daunting in its complexity are keys to understanding just how far mind monitoring and influence have progressed in current years. The article states that contemporary neuroscience has discovered that there are fundamental algorithms and specific codes through which the brain operates. Persinger says that these codes can be stimulated through contemporary communication networks, and a process which is coupled to the narrow band of brain temperature could allow all normal human brains to be affected by a subharmonic whose frequency range is about 10 hertz and would only vary by 0.1 hertz. These codes would be determined by the human genome, i.e. be species specific, and would contribute to or would serve as a substrate upon which all phenomena that affect neurobehavioral measures are superimposed. I almost guarantee you that if such a technology exists, it would not have the same effect on all genetic stock of humans.
Right.
One would, in fact, expect it wouldn't. Rather, it is easier to assume that it would not than that it would, but we will see. Persinger says that one logical extrapolation to a neurophysical basis of consciousness is that random variations of noise within the matrices could potentially differentiate between individual brains. Well, randomness would be weird because people don't experience their personalities as random. In other words, individuals could be identified by the specific characteristics of their brain output. Identification of these sequences could also allow direct access to the most complex neurocognitive processes associated with the sense of self, human consciousness, and the aggregate of experiential representations of episodic memory that define the individual within the brain. In other words, using the techniques that Persinger outlines, a person's memory, consciousness, and sense of self can be fully accessed and modified by electromagnetic means. This is essentially the same as saying that a person's personality can be completely shaped by electromagnetic means. In a sentiment that harkens back to the research and statements of Dr. Ewan Cameron, who employed far more primitive means of erasing consciousness. Persinger states that he has been studying application of weak electromagnetic fields, whose intensities are usually less than 10 milligrams or 1 micro-T, to purposes of this research is to identify the basic codes for the language of the representational system within the human brain. And Chase Steely jumps in with a big $50 super chat and says, nothing. I would have read anything.
Hey, that's a whole month's wages.
Super. Thanks so much, Chase. We really, really appreciate it.
It's a whole month's wages here in the true crime mines.
Here in the mind control mines. Mind control? Who knows? Using the information thus obtained, brain processes can be circumvented by direct introduction of this information within the brain. The basic premise is that synthetic duplication of the neuroelectrical correlates generated by sensors to an actual stimulus should produce identical experiences without the presence of that stimulus. I don't know if we've actually managed to make that happen. Like the correlates, I do know that mapping in MRI, mapping MRIs actually does vary by race. And I don't know that if you could induce the activity zones that we have the level of specificity to actually duplicate mental states. I suspect no. But Persinger is saying that experiences, feelings, memories, virtually any mental state can be artificially injected into a human brain from an exterior source. The most frightening thing is that the means for doing this already exist in fully operational form on a worldwide basis. Persinger says the power levels for these amplitudes are similar to those associated with the signals generated globally by radio and communication systems. Within the last 2 decades, as a potential has emerged, which was improbable but which is now marginally feasible. This potential is the technical capacity to influence directly the major portion of the approximately 6 billion brains of the human species by generating neural information within a physical medium within which all members of the species are immersed. With all of the jargon, most of which I have eliminated in this paraphrase, Persinger's message is that the entire human race can be mind controlled through the use of television and radio networks. True. But the implication of Persinger's work was that it would be direct mind control rather than conditioning through messaging or frequency of stimulus. I think that probably HARP doesn't really exist or doesn't work in the way that is being implied here, because if such a technology did exist and could be directed reliably, it would be widely used. I would think someone would have used it. The Soviets certainly could have, and we would not be above it either. Anyway, chapter 26, Psy War. Let me see how long this is. Oh yeah, we got it.
Damn.
What? Damn what?
It's just a funny set of words.
Psy War?
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. According to Andrea Puharich, a secret Navy project researching psychic powers was begun in 1948 called Project Penguin. Fun. The project was headed by Rexford Daniels. Great name for a super scientist. Another participant was Army Colonel Jack Cooney, the head of the medical branch of the Armed Forces Special Weapons Project. The well-known psychic Peter Hurkos was among those tested during the course of the Navy program. Possibly as a byproduct of this research, In 1952, Puharich presented a research paper to the Pentagon titled "On the Possible Usefulness of Extrasensory Perception in Psychological Warfare," and well in advance of the more touted Soviet research on such matters, lectured the Army, Air Force, and Navy on the possibility of using extrasensory powers for mind war. Communist state authorities, the military, and the KGB were engaged in a research program to use ESP in mass mind control as early as the 1960s. Wow, that cat hates Psywar.
We're not fans of Psywar over here.
We're not fans of Psywar.
Nala.
Your cat's named Nala?
Yeah.
Can you feel the love tonight?
Can you feel
the love tonight? Tonight. All right, we're not doing that. Dr. Milan Reisel said some years ago a project was begun in the USSR to apply telepathy to indoctrinate and re-educate antisocial elements. It was hoped that suggestion at a distance could induce individuals, without their being aware of it, to adopt the officially desired political and social attitudes. Of course, that would be very handy. In 1961, according to an in-house report of the CIA, the chief of CIA's Office of Technical Service, then the Technical Services Division, became interested in the claims of some researchers that ESP was a reality. Technical project officers soon contacted Stephen Abrams, the director of the Parapsychological Laboratory. There we go, Sandbatch. You're hearing parapsychology twice tonight, and now it will stick, right?
What are the crazy cat lady allegations, Randall Shirker?
There are Christopher Sandbatch, do you deny the allegations that you are a crazy cat lady?
I don't think anybody thinks I'm a crazy cat lady.
I mean, the cat might. Cat's being pretty demanding.
I think she's dying.
Really?
Yep.
I mean, she sounds pretty lively to me.
I know.
Hopefully she's not, but if so, all pets must have their time.
Yeah. She's old as hell.
Really? How old's your cat?
17.
That's a ripe old cat.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard of cats living into their 20s, so you might have
I'm afraid it's going to happen.
You might have another bachelor's degree in that cat.
Yep.
Let's see here. Office of Technical Services became interested in the claims that it was a reality. Stephen Abrams was the director of the Parapsychological Laboratory at Oxford. Under the auspices of Project MKUltra, Abrams prepared a review article which claimed ESP was demonstrated but not understood or controllable. Nice. The report was read with interest but produced no further action for another decade. In 1974, Robert Monroe founded the Monroe Institute, sited near Charlottesville, Virginia, to research remote viewing. Among prominent persons associated with remote viewing who have trained at Monroe, almost all whom have been launched into a degree of prominence by the Art Bell radio show, nice, are Courtney Brown, John Alexander, Albert Stubblebine, and Joseph McGonigal.
Yep.
Monroe, aside from being the author of a number of books about his out-of-body jaunts, was former vice president of the Mutual Broadcasting System. Journalist Carl Bernstein has indicated that MBS provided cover for CIA agents, not Mohammed bin Salman. According to Andrea Puharich, Monroe stimulated his ability to go out of body by sniffing ether. You love to hear it. But you love to smell it more. The Library of Mass Destruction is brought to you by ether.
Diethyl ether, the greatest miracle cure known to science.
Put it on a rag. Put it in front of your nose and your problems will melt away. Having trouble finding a wife? Having trouble finding a beau, ladies? Use diethyl ether on your handkerchief, and you will find your lover toot sweet. Diethyl ether, available on Amazon.com and wherever flammable liquids are sold. We really do need to get an ether sponsorship. Can you buy that on Amazon? Is that like a controlled substance?
I think it's controlled now, but let's see. Oh, you don't ask me how I know this, but it's diethyl ether is starter fluid.
You can totally buy it on Amazon.
Yeah, that's because I was just, like I said, it's starter fluid.
Yep. Very easy to. You just buy it on Amazon.
I don't see it. I don't see where you can buy it on Amazon, but I do see you can get. The problem is you go on lists when you buy these things.
Yeah, well,
where do you see Amazon?
But if you huff all the ether, right? Then
Look,
why does it matter if you're on the list? You know what's really good for erasing writing? Ether on a rag.
Yeah.
You just find that list.
No, but Jeremy Bentham was a nitrous addict.
Amazing. So utilitarian.
Pure DMSO in a glass bottle, dimethyl sulfoxide.
DMSO.
Interesting.
That's horrifying.
What?
It's horrifying that you can buy DMSO on Amazon.
No, it's not.
I mean, you could kill people really. You kill people really easily.
Look, dude. I'm one of those people. I'm for the fair and open trade of chemical reagents.
Your most libertarian quality.
Look, I have reasons.
I have reasons for needing this DMSO. Yeah.
No.
All right. I'm gonna make sure that I'm wearing nitrile gloves at the next OGC conference.
I'm just saying that, like, a methylating reagent. You should just be able to buy things.
You can just do things when you have a chemistry set. Yeah. Let me see here. Where was I? Oh yeah. Although it has not been confirmed, according to researcher Tom Porter, Robert Monroe is the son of James Monroe, who was the executive director, the president, who was the executive director of the Human Ecology Society CIA cutout, a primary agent for MK Ultra financing. Monroe personally supervised the infamous Dr. Ewan Cameron. In the early 1970s, I feel like Ewan Cameron is Jim Keith's Jolly on West. Like Ewan Cameron is to Jim Keith what Jolly on West is to LMD. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
we're always calling out Ewan Cameron whenever he's
this guy.
Whenever there's a vague association. In the early and like Ewan Cameron was just like he didn't do anything of substance. He just mind wiped people by giving them too much shit. Like anyone can do that. Like people do that to fentanyl addicts on the street all day, every day. Like, it's not that impressive. In the early 1970s, research into what has come to be called remote viewing was begun at Stanford Research Institute. Project Scanate was run by Harold E. Hal Puthoff, a former National Security Agency engineer, and Russell Targ, the CIA liaison for the funding of the Stanford Research Institute experiments, was reportedly former CIA station chief Harold Chipman, alias Orwell, said to have been in charge of all mind control research being done in the Bay Area at the time. That's a big responsibility because that's a lot of mind control research.
It is.
Partial funding came from the Cognitive Sciences Department of the defense contractor SAC, later circumstantially linked to the Heaven's Gate suicide group, and from EST guru and former Scientologist Werner Erhard. Using test subjects Ingo Swann, Pat Price, and others, the purpose of Project Scanate was to determine the ability of subjects to travel out of their bodies and to identify distant locations, in particular the locations and particulars of foreign military targets. Seems cheaper than a U-2. Just saying. The main participants in Project Scanate, both scientists and psychics, were members of L. Ron Hubbard's Church of Scientology. Some of the funding... I hate this because it means that Scientology might have something behind it. Just saying. Some of the funding for SRI remote viewing is... what?
You got to learn to love the bomb.
You got to... Some of the funding for SRI remote viewing is also reported to have come from an unnamed Scientologist. Harold Pudoff was an operating Thetan Class 3 in the lingo of the group, while Ingo Swann was classified in the church hierarchy as OT Class 7, at the time the highest level of attainment available in the church. He went clear. According to church literature, in this spiritual state, it is possible for the Thetan Scientologies for spirit... it's so much more than that. To process complete spiritual ability, freedom, independences, and serenity. To be freed from the endless cycle of birth and death, and to have full awareness and ability independent of the body. Pat Price was also ranked as OT, and Swann has said that 14 Scientologists ranked clear. A Scientology level below OT also participated. Since then, Swann is reported to have become disenchanted with Hubbard's church and is known to have participated in an offshoot group called Avatar, which sounds a lot more reasonable, doesn't it? It is not surprising to note that a Scientology connection in remote viewing experiments. Hubbard's church had, according to their own literature since the early 1950s, been involved in exteriorizing individuals from their body, and at least believed that they had engaged in out-of-body travel, as can be determined by a perusal of non-introductory Hubbard texts, of the sort that are kept away from the newbies. Remote viewing targets in Project Scanate include locations in Russia and China, and the location of submerged Soviet submarines. One experiment involved Swann and 5 other SRI subjects descending 2,000 feet in the Pacific in a submersible vehicle to test their ability at locating objects on the ocean floor. Asked to probe a secret underground military base in Virginia, Pat Price came up with the following information. Top of desk had papers labeled Flytrap Minerva. File cabinet on north wall labeled Operation Pool and word unreadable. Folders inside cabinet labeled Cue Ball, 14 Ball, 4 Ball, 8 Ball, Rack Up. Some of the site vaguely seems like Hayfork or Haystack. Personnel, Colonel R.J. Hamilton, Major General George R. Nash, and Major John C. Calhoun? There are 2 question marks at the end of Calhoun.
Interesting.
When a government security officer read Price's results, he told Price, "Hell, there's no security left." Intelligence consultant Joseph A. Ball evaluated the results of the psychic testing at SRI and determined that it produced manifestations of extrasensory perception sufficiently sharp and clear-cut to justify serious consideration of possible applications. This, in fact, seems to have been the case, at least judging from Swann's own early descriptions of remote viewing in a book titled To Kiss Earth Goodbye. After Targ's participation in Scanate, he went on to direct the Human Freedom Center in Berkeley, California. Part of Targ's responsibility at the center were to interview and counsel former cult members. An interesting job for a man who was a physicist. The center had been founded by Elmer and Deanna Myrtle, who had changed their names to A1 and Jeannie Mills, earlier public relations officers for Jim Jones of the People's Temple. Targ joined the Human Freedom Center 4 months after the death orgy at Jonestown. Man, that makes it sound way cooler than it was.
Yeah.
Another Scanate connection to People's Temple is Keith Harry. After a stint as research associate in psychiatry, Harari, I guess. Harari moved to San Francisco to counsel former cultists, in particular ex-members of the People's Temple. A year later, Harari joined Pudov and Targ in the remote viewing research being done at SRI. Pat Price's ability to remote view may have ultimately brought about his demise. After meeting with agents of the Office of Naval Intelligence and NSA in July of 1975, Price flew to Salt Lake City for a short 3-hour visit with his son. From there, he flew to Las Vegas, where he was met by friends Frank and Sherry at the airport. Suggesting that he might have believed he was in danger, Price had earlier told his friends that if anything happened to him, that information on the SRI experiments should be given to Hal Puthoff. While registering at the Stardust Hotel, a man bumped into Price. Price soon began to feel lousy and retired early. The following day, he phoned his friend Frank from his hotel room to tell him he was sick with stomach cramps in his back muscle, and impaired breathing. Radiation poisoning. Frank visited Price, who soon seemed to feel better. Frank left, but when he returned later that night, Price was sitting rigidly, staring into space. Price was calm, but his face was deeply flushed. "I think I will be all right now," he told his friend. But then Price's body arched so that only his head and heels were touching the bed. Frank heard what he thought was a death rattle. Frank attempted CPR and called the doctor, but Price died before the doctor arrived. SRI was involved in other projects that seemingly had less to do with psychic abilities than with straightforward mind control. In 1975, the scientific assistant to the Secretary of the Navy, Dr. Sam Koslov, was reviewing SRI research projects when he noted a section of SRI work titled ELF and Mind Control. The ELF referring to extremely low frequency electromagnetics. Koslov was upset by this frank admission of mind control research and ordered Navy investigations done by SRI to stop. According to various reports, the experimentation continued to roll on. Amazing. After the apparent success of the SRI experiments, funding was increased into remote viewing research. Gondola Wish was an early remote viewing project began in 1977 and run by Lieutenant Skip Atwater of the Army Systems Exploitation Detachment. Systems Exploitation Detachment. Very cool. Very interesting. Atwater gained approval to gather a small group of psychics for obtaining remote viewing intelligence. After consultation with SRI, Atwater recruited persons from the Army, Navy, and the private sector. Gondola Wish did not last long, but promising recruits were passed on to SRI for evaluation. After Atwater left the Army in 1987, he became director of research at the Monroe Institute. At Fort Meade, the home of the National Security Agency, Project Grill Flame, very chill, we love Grill Flame, ran from 1978 to 1983, operated by Major General Edmund Thompson with oversight done by the Defense Intelligence Agency. The project was managed by former nuclear physicist Jack Verona, the head of the DIA's Scientific and Technical Intelligence Directorate. Verona also ran Project Sleeping Beauty, dealing with the offensive use of microwave weapons. Grill Flame included 3 full-time remote viewers: Ken Bell, Joseph McGonigal, and Mel Riley, with the programs monitored by CIA mind control kingpin Dr. Louis Jolly West. I actually wasn't aware of this. I wasn't aware of Grill Flame. The remote viewing research program at SRI merged with Grill Flame in 1979. When Thompson left Grill Flame in 1981, it was taken over by the U.S. Army Intelligence and Security Command. In 1983, Grill Flame became Center Lane, a designation that would last until 1985. The project was supervised by the head of INSCOM, General Albert Stubblebine, who is married to psychiatrist and UFOologist Rima Labau. Additional remote viewers were recruited to the program, including Captain Ed Dames, Captain Bill Ray, Captain Paul Smith, and Charlene Kavanaugh, a civilian analyst employed by INSCOM. These individuals were trained at the Monroe Institute and had personal training with Ingo Swann. Stubblebine resigned from Girlflame in 1984 to be replaced by Major General Harry Soiser. Stubblebine later became chairman of the civilian remote viewing company SciTech, founded by Ed Dames. Army funding for Centerlane was discontinued in 1985, and the program was renamed Sunstreak, with control transferred to the DIA's Scientific and Technical Intelligence Directorate. Run by Branch Chief Fern Galvin, the program began to emphasize occult methods, including the use of tarot cards and channeling. According to Ed Dames, during a Pentagon evaluation in 1988, 3 paper shredders burned out while destroying documents. Amazing. How are your doors doing, Sandbatch?
Doors are doing fine, but my battery's going to die here in a minute. Well,
we're
10 o'clock anyway.
We got like, yeah, we're a little over time, but we got like 2 paragraphs left. So
if I disappear, you've just lost me.
I understand. Let's see. Around 1990,
we're going into enemy territory now.
We're doing it. Let's see. Around 1991, Sunstreak was renamed Stargate, and the program moved from Fort Meade to an undisclosed location. Branch Chief Dale Graff was in charge of Stargate until 1993, when he was replaced by an unnamed DIA specialist. Awesome. The program was reported to have been terminated after negative evaluation by the American Institutes for Research, commissioned by the CIA in 1995. Although remote viewer and intelligence specialist Paul Smith has suggested that the program continued, it was more deeply classified from special access program to a limited dissemination program. Ed Dames left Sunstreak in 1988 and took on work in INSCOM's Strategic Deceptions and Anti-Narcotics Group, termed Team 6. One of his strategic deceptions may be furthered by his current high visibility in the UFO paranormal research community. Cool. In recent years, intelligence agency remote viewing projects have been parlayed into at least a dozen popular books by participants in these projects. Now, experts can be heard almost any night to talk on radio or tabloid TV, offering a wacky amalgam made from CIA mind control research and the mostly crackpot beliefs of the psychic and ufological fringe. Everything from the face on Mars to an alien hitchhiker tagging along on Hail Bop, with little said about the involvement of government in population mind control. Companies have suddenly popped up offering their services to corporations wanting to obtain intelligence through remote viewing or in teaching others the skills of remote viewing. But then the CIA and other intelligence agencies have always used the belief of occultists, religionists, and UFO hobbyists to further their own agenda. Very true. Interestingly, remote viewer Major Ed Dames on a recent Art Bell show stated that he had once lived in Littleton, Colorado, and was familiar with Columbine High School, where the 1999 mass shooting took place. Dames announced to Bell that his remote viewing business, SciTech, was sponsoring Operation Guiding Light, that is, remote viewing classes for the students of Chatfield Senior High School, the school that absorbed the Columbine students after the mass killing took place. It is regrettable that Dames didn't remote view Littleton before the killings took place. Or perhaps he did. Wow. All right. Well, that's it for this evening. That's it. We're done with Sci War. We'll continue next week for hardwiring humans. You love to hear it.
Hardwiring. I'm getting hard already. What?
I'm getting hard-ring humans. What are you doing between now and next week that people should know about?
I'm not doing shit between now and next week. Look, shit. Have you heard what my travel schedule is?
I know you're very busy. You're going to Boston. I'm going
to the Middle West.
Oh, are you going to the Middle West? I'm in the Middle West.
Well, I'm not coming there, because the reason I would come there, I'm going to go see all the reasons other than you. I'm going to see all the reasons that I would come there at some of these other legs, but I'm going to be in the Midwest for a week in 3 different locations. And then I'm going to be in Boston, and then I'm going to be in DC, then I'm going to be in San Francisco, and then I'm going to be in the Pacific Northwest.
Bouncing all around the global tour.
Yep.
Well, you and I will coordinate to make sure that does not interrupt LMD to the degree possible, but it may. So.
He's so mad at me right now.
I'm not mad. It's fine.
I know. Oh my God! You're gonna what? How much do I have left?
Anyway,
I have another book that'll be out soon.
That's great. When?
I don't know yet.
Month?
I'll probably know by next week when it's going to be. And
okay.
It'll probably be,
this year? Probably this year?
Probably about a month. Probably
fourth quarter. All right.
I'm going to try to have it out. I'm going to try to have it out before I go on my grand tour.
Le Grand Tour. All right.
Le Grand Tour. Yeah.
All right. We love to hear it. All right. You can find me on Wednesday. We're having Geo on Drive Time Movie Night. It will be fun. It will always be fun. Always fun to have Geo on. We love to have Geo. So, all right. We will see you next time.
You're discouraged from questioning and thinking critically. You must accept the word of the leaders. They make you feel guilty if you do question or argue. Your environment is often controlled, cutting you off from friends, family, school, previously held beliefs. They want you to become dependent, provide a poor diet, poor health care, little sleep, and long, exhausting hours of work to make you physically weak and lower your ability to think clearly. Subtly, your self-confidence gets undermined, and your self-image or sense of identity is changed. The leaders control channels of communication. They cut off or put down outside sources of information. Then they bombard you with what they want you to think. They use strong peer pressure, playing on your desire to be loved and accepted. The leaders may promise rewards if you obey them and punishment if you don't, but they alternate harshness and leniency in order to confuse you. The leaders manipulate language, giving special meanings to words that only insiders understand. This is to make you feel like you're part of a special, important, or elite group, and that outsiders are inferior, dangerous, or doomed. You have to confess your shortcomings, mistakes, or misbehavior, sometimes even if these things never really happened. And meanwhile, your time and activities are tightly controlled. You don't have much privacy or energy or time to think because you're too busy doing monotonous, repetitive tasks. The leaders try to control you and even your sexuality, everything about you. They want to exploit you for their own enrichment, their own power or grandiosity. If they succeed, you will declare your loyalty unto its leaders, rejecting your old values and way of life. Without realizing it, you will have been changed into a person who is being controlled by a totalist cult.